Pike's pushed more and far up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Coming down to
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros is going to
They haven't got it! He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry! Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good evening if you are in Australia. Welcome along to the JPB YouTube channel for the Gamer Gear Direct GT3 Endurance Championship, presented to you by the Premier Endurance League. And we've got 2 hours of Hockenheim to go here. 16 corners, including Mercedes, and it's going to be absolutely epic. I am James Parfitt, and today I am joined by the wonderful Pete Baxter here this evening, who's going to join me and bring us all the action from this race. It's going to be absolutely incredible. So sit back with your cup of tea, your popcorn, your beer, or whatever else you're drinking, and enjoy this epic evening of racing. Let's bring Pete into the booth. Pete, how are you, dear sir? Welcome in.
Wonderful, mate. I've had an awesome day. It's been beautiful up here in Bundaberg, Australia. It's now early evening. We've just had a little shower of rain, the first in 4 months, mind you. So it's nice and refreshing. A nice little tipple of red just to get myself warmed up for tonight. But looking at this wonderful track, Hockenheim Ring, mate, how good is it? 16 corners. So these are some of the best and well-designed corners I think you find in World Motorsport. This is a wonderful track. It's not the big old massive fast racetrack that you might used to see in the 70s and 80s, but there is just some wonderful driving to be had here, and every corner is a special corner. You can do something with it. You can make time with it. You can lose time with it. You can make some overtakes in most of them, and I think we're in for a great race, mate.
Yeah, we're definitely in. Welcome into YouTube, Harry Dodds and Dean Hunt. Yeah, go Frog Leap, they've said. Yeah, the frogs. So there you go. Welcome into both of you guys as well. Just coming towards the end of qualifying. We've got about 15 seconds remaining. We will be able to bring you up the grid after the warm-up session as well. It was a very interesting one last time. Out, Pete, from Road Atlanta. We were at as well. It was a very exciting race, Road Atlanta. You know, different kettle of fish to Hockenheim. What are the drivers going to be doing, that, you know, to be able to maintain their pace, maintain their speeds, and make sure that they're at the top of the order come the end of the race?
Well, this one, unlike Road Atlanta, this is a much faster and flowing circuit. Like, I think Road Atlanta was a much more technical circuit. You sort of, you take turn one, you come over that hill and in through the S's, which is all single driving, really until you get on the back straight and you get a nice little draft, and you might have an overtaking spot or two as you come onto the bridge and over the hill. Really technical circuit, Road Atlanta. But you get here at Hockenheim, it's quite open, but the circuit's 3 times wider. You can fit 5 cars wide if you're careful along Hockenheim, which means, and you've got that long straight leading to a near 180 degree hairpin, which, as we all know, is just dive central, opportunity central. Yeah, and it's a chance for people to make a move, especially early in the race. What I'm really liking is we saw some really fast times in qualifying. You know, a couple of them got into the 37s. In practice, a couple of them, you know, about 4 cars got into the 37s. But in qualifying, before we get the results up, you know, there's only 1 or 2 sneaking into those 37s. So the pressure of qualifying might be getting to a couple of them, particularly the guys that are up at the top in the leaderboard of the championship.
Yeah, exactly. We've got the likes of Nick Wood, Benn, Jeffery, Brandon Grock, Owen, Coleman, who are the top 4, with Trent Allen rounding out the top 5 in the elite class, of course. And then in the challengers, we've got Dean Hunt, Alfonso Latella, Simon Honey, Luke McKay, and Sean Benici at the top of theirs. You know, it's going to be an interesting battle between them guys as well. We've got Hugo Sutherland here, who I believe this is his first outing. I don't think I've seen him before this season. You know, then you've got the championship contenders of Dean Hunt, and behind that with Cameron Edwards and Alfonso Latella, and I think that's going to be quite an interesting battle. Hugo at the moment is kind of showing his pace off, but I think at the end of the day we'll see how it goes, because there's a lot involved in this circuit. You know, they've got to get the pit entry right as well. That's going to be tricky coming off that last corner. They've got to make it clear that they're going in, otherwise there could be a little bit of chaos going into that pit lane as well, because we know it comes off that last corner and goes to the right hand side. That alone is going to be tricky enough for some people, and I think it could be really interesting. I'm looking for moves mainly probably coming down Spitz-Care, down into the hairpin there. Possibly if you can get a run out of there, you might be able to get one down into Mercedes and possibly coming up into 11. But it is got to be definitely facilitated, Pete. I think that's the thing. They've got to make sure they're facilitating moves alongside each other. Otherwise, they could be in deep trouble.
Yeah, well, you use facilitate, I use coordinate. If you're not, or cooperative. If you're not cooperative, even as a driver being overtaken, that causes trouble. But you mentioned that pit entry, and to me, it's like the Red Bull Ring pit entry. You know, you come around the last corner, and if you're diving into pit entry, you're coming around that last corner a little bit slower than somebody that's on the race line and the race pace. And it's really risky for the person behind you on race pace, if they don't know you're coming into pit entry, just to touch the back of your car, and it can ruin your whole race. So what we might see, or we may not see, you know, how cooperative are the drivers? You know, will they actually let others know that they're coming into pit entry? As we know, it's a 2-stop race by fuel generally, around about the 40 to 45, 40, 43 minutes for the race period. So there's sort of about 10 to 15 minutes through the race where you can undercut, overcut. And if people aren't sort of cooperative and communicative, then that actually makes it quite hard. And yeah, you can end up like ruining your race just because you didn't say, hey, listen, I'm going into pits, take a little bit of care, take 0.2 of a second, and we're both good.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's mainly just letting people know that is, something they've got to do here, because it is imperative that they get this right. We've entered into the warm-up. We will bring you up the grid in a couple of minutes when warm-up is finished. Who are we fancying at the moment, though? Because Nick Wood, looking tasty. He's leading the championship, of course, as well. Road Atlanta was a great race for him, and I'm just wondering, can Nick do it again? Is he going to be in that BMW, being at the front of the field, do we think? Or is there going to be a challenger come from nowhere as such who's going to put Nick under pressure?
Well, I'm going to be fair to Nick. I had a chat with him before the race, and I said to him, we'll wind you up, mate. Well, he's out there. He had at the time, he'd set the fastest time in the warm-up. He's qualified well. And I said, we'll wind you up in the pre. And I said, but I don't want to put the commentator's curse on you, so we'll just see how you go. But ultimately, Nick's goal is top 3. So, and that's fair, because to be honest, you don't have to win everything to win this championship, right? And he's in a really good position. What he needs to solidify points to make sure that he can, go ahead into the last round with a good, solid lead. So, will Nick fight for the win tonight? I don't know if he will. If he's sitting there in P2 or P3 and somebody might have uncut him or got him through pit stop or strategy or something like that, I don't know if we're going to see a real aggressive fight from Nick tonight. What I might say is someone like Ben Jeffery or Brendan Groach, who really does need the win to put the pressure on Nick, we might see some extra driving from them. We might see them guys actually come out and say, let's put the pressure on. We're gonna really challenge you. We want to take this to the next round. We want to make the next round a whole lot more interesting and bring these points closer. And then, there's the story of the people like, Dan Magri, Trent Allen, Owen Coleman, the guys that have been there but not there, but they're right up there in the championship, right? These guys are capable of producing a strategy surprise and just pulling it out from anybody.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the thing. It depends on what they're going to do on their strategies. I think that's going to be the interesting thing. If they're going to run it all the way to it's empty and then go in, are they going to try something different? I think traffic management as well, making sure that that traffic is there if they're stuck behind a slower car and have been for ages, as we see Simon Honey get it all completely wrong coming out of turn 1 there. That's not an ideal scenario for him. But I think at the end of the day, they've got to just make sure that they're on the ball. If you're stuck behind a slower car or a slower line of cars and you can't get through, go into the pits, get it out the way, because otherwise you are just going to ruin the race that you have tried to get. And I think that's the thing. They've got to be on it, and then pit calls have got to come straight away. If they don't come straight away, they are going to be in trouble, and it's going to be interesting to see how they get on and what they do here. We have just come to the end of the warm-up session. We will bring you up the grid right about now for this evening's race, and it is Nick Wood out in front with Rue Coistra in second, Matt Carrick in third, Brandon Grock in fourth, Richard Meyer fifth, Adam Jetsam sixth, Owen Coleman seventh, Hugo Sutherland eighth, Daniel Magri ninth, Leif McClyman in 10th, Alan Dawson 11th, Martin Hallinan is in 12th. Then you've got Dean Hunt, Cameron Edwards 13th for 14th, Trent Allen, Adrian Gregg, Alec Kay and Alfonso Latella with Mark Foster and Darren Burgess rounding out your top 20. Ray Oliver, Justin Davies, Matt Keane and John O'Kiley are your top 24 with Matthew Gerrard, Jess McMiniman, Brent Tucker, Sean Bonici, Luke McKay, Matthew Norris, Christopher Ruddle, Brandon O'Loughlin, Simon Honey, Andrew Dutch and Ricky Provenzali at the back with Stefan Lawrence there as well. So we're going to have this half pace lap here, and they're going to be up and running as before we get going. So it is a pace lap from the mobile curb, which is turn 11. So they've got a few corners to make sure they get this right. Pete, who's your money on, Pete? Who are you going for?
Oh no, look, I'm actually gonna put my money on Rue Christie. Right? I think Rue's gonna have a little. He's got nothing to lose, right? He hasn't got massive championship gains, so for me tonight, he's got the pace, and he doesn't care about the championship. He just wants a result, right? That's the sort of situation he's in. I'm not sure Nick's the best bet. I think he's going to get a solid result, But if he wins, I don't think he'd be the best bet, just because he's got that championship pressure on his head. But who knows, mate? I could be well and truly wrong, and we might get someone like Jimmy Middleton poke up through. Oh, that's right, Jimmy has to hurt tonight. So, sorry about that one.
Jimmy, unfortunately, is not here this evening. He is in the pit lane crew with us tonight. We will check in with Jimmy a little bit later on. But at the moment, we're going to get this up and running. Nick Wood is going to lead it away. He's got to look for the jump, surely, to get Root Coistra covered off into turn one. We are now up and running. We have started here at Hockenheim. It is green, side by side with Coistra and Wood. There on the first turn. Wood gives him room on the outside as Coistra does run a little bit wide, and now we've got that run down into the parabolica into turn two, and it is Nick Wood. Rue Coistra needs to be careful. He's got Brandon behind him with Adam Jepson as they go running down the spit scare for the very first time. It looks like we haven't had any major dramas at the moment. Everybody is up and running, and I think, Pete, you could be a little bit wrong here. Nick Wood leading the field after the first few turns.
Well, I don't know. Look, I don't know about wrong. I reckon if Nick's got the chance to win, he is going to take the win. But I think that if he gets in a position where he has to be aggressive to win, I think Nick might take the safety angle. But look, if he goes from the front, good in, mate. Pole through the end. But we got 2 hours to go. We got pit stops to go. We got potential safety cars. We got Hockenheim. We got a whole lot of racing ahead of us, mate. That is far too early to call. And I reckon, oh, there we go. We got Mark Foster, who is about to give us a little bit of entertainment. Mark Foster's just lost it out of turn 6 there at that little chicane. Turning in, he's lost the rear end, he's turned the car over, he's upside down. We're going to see a safety car already because Mark's going to have to tow from that.
Yeah, he definitely... Whoa, he got a big old snap there, unfortunately for Mark, and that was somewhat bizarre, I'm not going to lie. I've never seen a car who's just unfortunately done that with just snapping off to the right-hand side or left-hand side randomly here as well. But let's see what happens. We are waiting if there is going to be a safety car or is there not going to be a safety car. I think it's one of them things. If the car's out the way, do we need it, Pete? That's the thing. Do we need a safety car if Foster can get it moved? That's one of the riot squads gone off in the background there as well. Into turn one, it looks like Daniel Magri's had a moment. And unfortunately, he's going to put himself, well, he's still going, and he's all the way down in 32nd there for Daniel Magri. Got it wrong coming out of turn one. I'm going to presume here he's going to hit the curb on the exit of one, and that is going to, what it will be spinning him round. He took the sausage. There's the curb. Round he goes. And unfortunately for Daniel Magri, he is now towards the back end of the field. Not a great start for Daniel Magri there, Pete. Not an ideal situation to be doing on lap two.
No, well, that's just a little touch of the curb and a little bit of oversteering the push, maybe a little bit of overdriving there from Dan. And, Dan's in that top 10. He's really after a good position tonight. So, he's going to be now in that position that you talked about early in the race. This is a guy who he's probably got the speed to be in the top 10. He's going to have cars that are a little bit slower in front of him, that not necessarily slow enough to make an easy overtake. So he might be thinking alternate strategy already. And when do you come and pull that alternate strategy, get yourself clear track and make the overtake through undercuts? Yeah,
I fully agree with you there. Matthew Tatler and YouTube. Medical helicopter needed, I believe so, for Foz. I think he's going to be sitting on his roof and wondering what actually went on there. I don't believe a safety car was needed for that. I think by the time he said, can I tow, he's gone and towed, and I think he's out the way. I think we need to look at the situation with safety cars before we just throw them, Pete. I think people call for safety cars, and we had it a lot in the last round as well, and, that is, no, there's another Riot Squad member off. He's coming across the track. Oh,
where is that? That is coming out of turn one, is it? Turn one, in between the turn 1, turn 2 section. Now, they must be just touching that little curb as they've come out and just getting a little bit loose. And I've noticed they're both Porsches now that have spun.
Well, yeah, that was a Ferrari, a Brandon Grock.
Oh, that was a Ferrari, yep.
Yeah, and then there was another Ferrari involved with it as well. It looked like Hugo Sullivan. Matt Carrick is also involved, so that looks like a bit of a three-car pile up there. Carrick's had to... he's at... We have got a yellow flag.
Yeah, and that looks like just a driving error, no driving infringement. So, unfortunate for all the guys that caught up into that. That was just looked like Brendan Grotch just might have just touched that curb a little bit, lost the end, like the back end of the Ferrari. Maybe just trying to push through turn one a little bit too quick. You can push through turn one pretty quick here. And then, cop the incident point on the way out. As long as you don't go right out, and I think there's a slowdown if you go too far out. So, So unfortunate there, but now we've got a mixed up race, haven't we?
We have, and we're going to have a safety car out here on lap 3. It might be a good time now if we check in with our roving reporter, the man who had to take the night off here this evening. We know who he is. You know who he is. Let's have a quick chat with Jimmy Middleton. Jimmy, can you hear me okay, sir?
Hello, boys. How are we?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad at all. Just tell us what your drama situation is at the moment. Why are you not out on track?
My new fancy monitor that I had to buy for my rig, because that was what was clearly holding me back all this time, decided to brick itself. So rather than put myself at even further disadvantage, you've seen my skills, obviously, I've decided to just call it for tonight for the safety of everyone else out there. So happy to be joining you lads for a little bit here and there, keeping an eye on the pit lane.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Not a great start there for Magri. Not a great start with Grock and Carrick, and it also looked like Hugo Sullivan was involved on that one. Foz ended up on his roof as well. Not an ideal start from some of these boys, Jimmy. At the end of the day, I would have thought they would have been a little bit later on. What are we going to put it down to? Cold tyres? What do we think?
I know looking at Hugo's there, that was just a bit of bad luck. I didn't sort of catch the start of it with what happened with Brandon, but that turn one, if you get that little bit of oversteer there, that's an absolute nightmare to try and catch it, because you're going through there at such a rate of knots. Matty Carrick just came in and he's taken tyres, so you might as well while the safety car's out, I suppose.
No, I don't.
Yeah, no, and I had another look at the Mark Foster incident, and yeah, that was an absolute strange one. That was just a random snap the wrong way. Now I've got to tell you, boys, I did a 6-hour endurance GT3 race yesterday in the Ferrari, and what we had twice in the race was we had lots of fast repairs, thankfully, but we had suspension failures, and it made us think, is there something else going on now in the GT3 damage model in iRacing? Something that will just snap if you hit a curb the wrong way. Something that if you push the car in a little bit of pressure, the sort of thing that, this thing here with Mark, it just
so
happened.
weird.
There's no reason there for it. That sort of thing is mechanical failure or sim failure. And, Fozzie's been there, and he's on the YouTube. He's saying that there's nothing's gone wrong with his sim by the looks of it. So it's just one of those really weird things. So has iRacing done something to us in the damage model that we're not used to yet?
Well,
If we get the suspension failures that we don't know about.
Well, to be fair,
That's all well and good, but
it's possible. But
you want them to tell you.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Tell us that they still around and going to say, hey, boys, just to let you all know, we're going to put this in now. And you kind of want to sit there and think, well, that's great that you might have put it in. And don't get me wrong, it's another step towards the real life situation, and I get that, and I fully understand that. But you've got to come out and say to everyone, right, at any moment of given time, your suspension can go blip, and you'll end up in the left-hand side. Because Foster's in chat, right? It'd be great to get it from his perspective. He said, I forgot to press the fast repair. Well, unfortunately, that is what it is on that one, Foz. But tell us what happened. Did you feel anything break? Did you hit anything before? Was you caught up with anything? No, the Ford checked up in front. I touched the brake and it shot me off. Very aggressive start by some. Well, yeah, we've seen that, but that's racing. But, for you in a car, you don't want to go into it going, well, is my car going to last here? Pete, I think that's the worst thing that could possibly happen to you.
I mean, there's enough things that go into your mind when you're a driver in an endurance race anyway. Is, can I last the distance? Can I hit the apexes well enough? Can I keep my lap times consistent? Let alone, is this car even going to actually give me the luck to get to the end? And if that's the case, but, Fozzie's saying the Ford's checked up in front of him. But even though they checked up, couldn't see any contact. So
No.
there's no reason for his car to snap left the way it did. And it was, it's just a little bizarre. So after yesterday's experience with me, I'm sort of thinking, oh, something's funny, right? So,
there's nothing. Literally nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Unless Foz literally went full bore and stamped on that brake pedal, there is nothing there. Bang. Look at that.
Unless that is the world's worst net code that we've ever seen.
Well, you're looking at about a 12-foot of track in front of you. I don't get it. Jim, any ideas on that one from Foz? What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, if he's in the chat telling you that it is what it is, I know that he'd had a couple of issues with his gear earlier in the week, but that would have explained what happened there. But if he's saying that it wasn't that,
no, Fozzie's just
take
put
that as what he said.
Jimmy, Fozzie's just put in no contact, lack of talent by me, mate. I've got to tell you that, Fozzie, you could have had 3 bottles of Jack Daniels, mate, and you still would have been able to drive straight through that bloody.
It was a
He's notorious for not making excuses for it, though.
But there's no excuse for that. Yeah. That is just an absolute bizarre. I feel really sorry for it. I wanted to talk about the milkshake machine because I hadn't had a chance all season to talk about it. And then Fozzie's put us out like that. He's mixed it upside down. He hasn't mixed it all the way around. So we'll get there. I'll be back for round 5, Fozzie, and we'll have another chat. And we'll see you fight through and get a really good result in that machine.
Yeah, let's see how they get on, guys. We will say goodbye to Jimmy for a minute. We'll pick up him in about 25 minutes or so once we start getting this whole pit stop cycles underway, and we will find out who's done what, who's not done what, who's got tyres, who hasn't got tyres. Why we leave Jimmy off there as well to do his little bit of roving reporter. So for now, Mr. Middleton, we will catch up with you a little bit later, sir.
Copy that, boys.
Well, there you go.
So JP, it does look like we've had about half a dozen cars actually go through the pit. But we're off racing again. Here we go.
Yeah, we're back under green flag now as well. The lights are off. Barney's waving there once more. Let's keep an eye on this Ford battle with Rail in that Ford from SLM. I'm having a go at Martin Hanlon here. He has just gone through as well. Nick Wood said, thank you very much. I will just bounce off and leave you guys to it as he does try and clear. He needs to open a gap. I think this is the thing for Wood in that BMW. We know they're quite robust, right? I'm not saying the McLaren of Foz is basically, cardboard. I'm saying the BMW is quite a little bit of a curb eater. It can get himself into positions. It can go and take the curb, as we're watching Adam Jepson just go up the inside of Owen Coleman here, who is in that Mercedes. That was down in the Spitzker. Probably the most familiar place, Pete, I think we're going to see overtakes down in the Spitzker. Coleman's trying to come back, mind you. He's having a go on the inside, coming into Mercedes. He's got to look at what he's going to do. Jepson comes him up, and he just puts that BMW right in the middle. And that stops Coleman coming through there as well. Coleman is looking quick since he lost the position. But to be honest, I think at the end of the day, Spitzker was always going to be the place that people were going to be losing positions.
Oh, particularly in the first few laps when all the field is crowded together. That you come off a big straight, another parabolica, and you come into there and it's prime for a little bit of draft, a braking duel. If you can get inside, and a little bit of cooperation with the other car, that's where you swap positions. But look, Nick Wood, he is just out there. Is he comfortable? Oh, a little bit maybe. He's just pulling just a nice little 0.8 second of a gap right now. Just not enough to say, oh, this is easy, but enough to say, I know you're not having a go at me at any of the corners on the track. So he can now focus eyes forward and pull out. And I think Owen Coleman's going to have a little bit of pressure on Adam Jepson and see if he can get him down into it this time.
Yeah, he is. He's going to try and run that inside line. The problem was with the inside line at Spitzker, it gives you a very tight exit Jepson on the right, Coleman on the left. Here we go. Jepson's going to try that cutback. He set him up for it. He said, thank you very much. He didn't quite get the pace off the corner. Jepson took that wide line there, Pete. I thought he was going to come back underneath Coleman, but he didn't really make a challenge coming out. He didn't seem to have the grip coming out of that corner with that BMW to be able to pull that move off, and he set himself up perfectly for it. He ran wide. He set it up as well to take the late apex and go through, and he just didn't make it work for Jepson. I know we're early on, and don't get me wrong, we've still got an hour and 45 to go here, and we're expecting more and more swaps and more position changes, but you've got to kind of settle in and make moves that you wouldn't necessarily kind of make here. You can't sit there, Pete, and all the philosophy is, you know, you can't go half into it. You've got to go full into it, and for Jepson, he just wasn't. He just didn't look like he was quite there. Oh, no! He's coming back into track. Oh, Jepson and the sausage curb.
What have you done to Adam Jepson, my man? I mean, I was going to say that what he'd done was just accepted that he's lost one position, and you get good results by accepting you lose one position, right? If you fight for it to the death, you end up down the back of the field. And you've given him the commentator's curse from hell, that one. He's come round, he's just lost the rear end on the last corner, just maybe trying to push it and get in a little bit too far. And now Adam Jepson has dropped right down the back, and yeah, where is he now? He's got right
34th.
down to P32 right now. I've got him on my P32. So, you know, and again, we know he's fast, and oh, here we go. We've got another safety car coming out.
Yeah, this is Dutch. I'm not in here. They've got to stay off that sausage curb. They're not learning. They're not learning. Every spin in turn one has been on that sausage curb on the outside, and they've got to stay off it. Come on, boys. I don't even drive when I know to not touch that curb, because you just end up doing that. Take it a little bit wider, Pete. Give it a few inches, you know what I mean? Give it a bit of a nice little gap, because otherwise that's going to happen, and you don't want that happening to you. Surely they've tested enough to know that they can't do that, as we see Latella and Brant Tucker here as well. Tucker's just gone underneath Latella at turn 12 and is now leading them off 3:13 and 14. Richard Meyer is into the pit lane currently as well. Alan Dawson, Leaf McClimate fighting it out. Darren Burgess, a little bit early, mind you. I'm not going to lie. That's only, 17 minutes in, Pete? A little bit early to pit already, isn't it?
I'm comfortable with that, given that we've got a safety car, right? Because it's a free pit stop. You know you've still got a 2 pit stop race. Really, all you're doing is giving up a bit of track position. And if you've got the pace, what you're going to do is you're going to shorten your next pit stop, or you're going to shorten your last pit stop. So I'm comfortable with that as a race strategy with a safety car at this stage of the race. Given that we're sort of almost 20 minutes in, we're sort of just 18 and a half minutes in. You know, it's actually, if you've had a little bit of nickel race you down the back, it's probably a good move to take that, even though it means you might have to do 3 pit stops over on the race, but that's not 3 green flag pit stops. So that's actually not a bad move, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe. I hope we sort of give the safety cars a bit of a minute. Pete, I don't think, like, there are times and places, and if it was a 3 or 4 car crash, I understand bringing out a safety car. But one guy that stacked it, who's off the track, he's off the racing line, he's going to be out the way by the time the leaders come through. I know there's the whole request to tow and then the safety car, but do we need it quite that early, Pete, do we think?
Well, remember, we're in the world of simulation, not gaming. So, you know, in the world of simulation, when you've got a car off track like that that's absolutely broken, you're going to get 4 or 5 human beings on the track and this is at the exit of turn 1, which is one of the fastest turns on the track. You know, with a couple of cars, maybe a medical car in simulation world, and a tow truck and something to pick it up, and then they've got to clean up all the debris. So, yeah, in the context of the world of simulation, I think it's a fair call. You know, Do you going to get complaints from drivers because there's too many safety cars during the race? Of course you are, because they don't see a lot of this until they're in like a race management mode. All they're seeing is in front of them racing ahead. So, in the context of managing a race and purely safety, if you look at any real life event and the way we're simulating real life events in iRacing, I actually think the safety cars we had have been extraordinarily appropriate, right? Because we're going to have multiples of individuals on what are essentially the exits of super fast corners. And if you don't have a safety car, if you don't slow the cars down, other cars are coming through at 200-300 kilometres an hour, and as soon as they get out of control, they're out of control. You cannot stop them. They run into barriers. So I think it's fair. Doesn't make their race exciting. Safety cars breed safety cars. We know that because it brings the field back together. It brings the density of cars back together. It makes cars closer. It gives that opportunity for running into Switch Creek, get the hairpin there and having more overtaking action. It's going to put the pressure back on Nick Wood because Rue Cruister's right back up the bottom behind him. Owen Coleman doesn't have Adam Jefferson anymore. Now Adam Jefferson needs to think, all right, I've got the safety car. I can run a pit. I can run an alternate strategy. There's so much going on in the race right now. If you just have it, just keep going, I think we're missing all of those extra elements of the race. I kind of like it.
Okay. Well, I won't disagree with you, Pete, but, I don't know. I'm a little bit more of a free-flowing individual who would love to be able to get the racing up and running and go, just let it flow. If the car's out the way and it's not on the racing line and, yes, I know we're in this simulation and I know we're looking at the real life. Yes, there would be crew on the track. There would be this and that as well. But obviously we've got that option of completely almost disregarding that situation because we haven't actually got all that elements to the incident. The guy's had an incident. He can request to go back to pits. David says, yep, he can go, presses his button, and away he goes. So, I don't know. It's a fine balance. I think it's a fine balance. And as you say, safety cars breed safety cars. We're already too deep already. And I'd hate for, for us to have a caution fest race and that would just be quite frustrating, I think, for the drivers as well, because obviously from a driver's point of view, you don't want to be stop starting. And from Nick Wood, he definitely doesn't want to be stop starting. He wants to get his gap. He wants to open it up, and he wants to just leave everybody else behind. He doesn't want this banked back up again. This is probably his worst nightmare.
No, the top three just want this race to keep going. It's extraordinarily frustrating. And don't get me wrong, the last thing I want to see is a safety car fest. I want it when it's reasonable and, each race has its own character because safety cars are quite random in that way because of crashes. What I want to see, I'd love to see now this race go an hour and a half and see how it spins out. And, if we need a safety car at some stage, I don't think we have safety cars for excitement factor. They're there for need factor. I really want to see racing. I want to see Nick Wood, Rue and Owen. I want to see them pull away from the field. I think the three of them can. I think we'll find 1, 2, 3. We'll get a nice big gap with a good old session. But they've only got about 20 minutes worth of fuel. They might get down to about the 45, 50 minute worth mark. So they've got about another 25 minutes worth of fuel. And if they get another safety car, you're going to see them coming into the pits early. But if they don't, you're going to see them run, but you're going to see those that are coming into the pits going to come in and they're going to overtake them. And if the race goes on, we're going to have a mixed up field for a whole lot of half an hour. So this is really quite exciting about how this race is going to fall out to me.
Yeah, back under restart here as well. Owen Coleman trying to go at Rue Coistra on that run now down into turn 2. Now he's going to have a look at the parabolic, or it looks like that Porsche's got it all a little bit wrong there as well. Now we're rushing down the parabolica with Nick Wood. He can see it now. Coistra's going to try and cover him off. He's not going to be able to get there this time around. Nick Wood's going Owen Coleman's opened up the door. Now you've got to put it in there, son. You made the gap. Now fill it. And he did do that as well. Ray Oliver in the forward, almost trying to send it up the inside of Leif McClyman, and Alan Dawson almost trying to get 2 for 1 there. Everybody else is coming through a little bit further back. There's more incidents there as well. That looks like Darren Burgess has been involved in that one, and he has with Cameron Edwards. And unfortunately for Burgess, did he just send it in too hot there? Or no, he's already around at the front. You can see the white Ferrari there. As he comes in, there it is. Everybody checks up. The Ferrari's already gone round, and he does make it through. But yeah, it's grouping people up well here, I think, Pete. And this is the struggles, isn't it, for some people?
It is, and one of the things you can do on the GT3 car is you can get on the throttle just a little bit too early, and once you do, it'll spin the rear round. So maybe that was the case there.
Yeah, into Spitsker, of course, as well. We're looking at Daniel Magri. He's trying to make his way through the field, of course, after his spin on lap 2, where he kind of just had to sit there and wait and let everybody go through. Somebody's off the side of the grass there as well. Not an ideal situation. I think it might have been Alfonso Latella who was taking trips off the grass. He's going to have Magri come through on him as well, and he's just lost 2 places, Justin Davies and Daniel Magri. More important for Davies is it's Battle of the Arms there. There's a big old send in the Ferrari. There's a disappearing car there as well. That's Simon Honey. That's not going to make it easy for anybody coming alongside him as well. And now Burgess has got to try and tackle it as Honey moves over to the side of the circuit. Burgess has gone through once more. Now we've got Alan Dawson. He's also cleared Rue Coistra on the run down into Spitsker here. Coistra's going back quicker than he's going forward here, Pete. But we are already 25 minutes into a 2-hour race.
No, that's right. And maybe it's time just to settle down and just see how it goes, right? You know, Rue Coistra might have dropped off a couple of spots, but, you know, you've got to think these tyres have cooled off under those safety cars. And the GT3 tyre model that we got, the new tyre model in iRacing, that's a really bad accident that just happened.
Magri's gone round again. Daniel Magri, after fighting his way back, has just gone round again. Oh, there it is again. Same corner as Foz.
But that one makes sense, though. The Foz one doesn't. That one made sense, right? Dan Magri come around a little bit too hot. He's touched the curb. He's got a little bit of oversteer and overcorrected, and the car's just done a flick spin on him. So he's on the marbles there. That's all. That's what that was. That one makes sense.
Yeah.
But geez, he hit that fence hard. Oh, poor Dan Magri. Oh, he's going to have to get in, and hopefully he can get a fast repair and get back into the race for that one.
Yeah, he's already sliding. He's corrected it. And then you see this. This is what Magri, if he is in VR, saw. If he isn't in VR, well, he just looked at it. Because that is what happened to Daniel Magri there as well. Looked like a, very horrible situation was done as we jump on with Ricky Provenzali having a go at Alex K in front of him there. Alec in the Lamborghini, one of the few Lamborghinis, if not actually the only Lamborghini we've got in it. No, John O'Kiley's in a Lamborghini as well. So 2 Lambos and contact between Provenzali going into that corner with Alec K. Not an ideal scenario. I think they've got to be leaving more room on that exit of Spitsker. Got that outside line. If somebody's coming on the inside, you've got to give him more room than he's already getting. You know, you can't just be going to stick his nose up like that. Look how much room Provenzali gave Davies there and gave him loads of room, but he didn't get that same thing back from Alex K at Spitsker. And, you know, you want to try to avoid contact, and, you know, TCRs is mainly door rubber, not mainly GT3s, and if you're not giving them room, you're going to be in trouble. And that's the thing with what you're looking at in racecraft-wise as well, Pete, when we talk about racecraft, is knowing where your battles are and leaving the room that's needed. And some people with Cameron Edwards also sitting off the side of the circuit here as well. This is going to be another snap in that Porsche, isn't it? Oh, is it going to be coming down here? Yep.
Oh, was that a push? That car behind him was pretty close.
Yeah.
But I got to admit, you know, you hinted about rubbing panels in GT3. You know, with all of the aerodynamics on GT3, you've almost got to treat them like that's something that race control might have to have a look at. That's a little bit of a shove in the background, and I think someone might be in trouble for that one. But, you know, with GT3s, you know, you've got to treat them almost like a little bit open wheelers, right? You can damage the aero so quickly on a GT3 that it ruins your lap time and ruins your race. So, you know, you do need to give a little space. Now, Ricky Provenzali, I've raced side by side with him, and Ricky loves a good side-by-side race. Even with a little bit of bumping in some races, but I'm sure he wants to keep his car as fresh as can be to see what sort of result he can get.
Yeah, definitely fully agree with you there as well. He wants to try and keep it clean as best as possible. What a ride, said Andrew SLM in YouTube. It definitely was there. It was definitely an interesting one for sitting in the cockpit of that car there. But yeah, it's going to be a tough one. We've seen people filter off. It looks like Brant Tucker's also at a moment. He's going to go and spin it back round and get it back on. And do you know what's worse here, Pete, is at the moment, the Porsches are the ones doing the issue, are the ones having an issue. Magri is in a Porsche. Edwards was in a Porsche. Now we've just seen Tucker in a Porsche do the same thing. And is this the famous saying of Porsche doing Porsche things that you could do for an hour, and then after about an hour and 1 minute, it goes and throws you off?
Well, the thing that surprised me, jumping back in, I don't remember this many Porsches the last time I commentated this GT3 series. Now, admittedly, I missed the last round and there was an ability to change cars, but I've counted more than 10 Porsches tonight in the race, and I don't remember this being quite a Porsche-centric field, but it's kind of become one tonight. And, I mean, it's a good car to drive, it's a fun car to drive, it's a go-kart-like car to drive, but it's a snappy thing to drive, and you can overdrive it, it can throw you around, and if you damage the aero, it'll treat you like a cup car, and you'll end up with the rear end in the fence like we've seen a number of times. The other thing I'm wondering is, have these guys actually forgotten that it's a 2-hour race tonight, JP? Because there's a lot of people really, really fighting for position rather than sort of settling in and making this quite a strategy race, right? 2 hours is a long time to race a car. This not a sprint race. And it's kind of like having 2 safety cars already. It's almost like still a sprint race mentality is in the minds of these drivers until they get a little bit of a gap. And then, so I go, oh, hang on, we've still got like another hour to go. We might have to change our mentality. I don't know. Am I missing something, or am I seeing something that's different?
Have you ever tried telling a racing driver not to race?
I did once.
How did that go for you?
Well, yeah, no, I had to walk away sheepishly.
Yeah, that's it. I think no, I don't. I think the thing is, if you're in sim or in racing, you're in real world or whatever, you're not going to have. Oh, Provenzali looked like he had a bit of a slide coming out of one as well. Unfortunately for Ricky, that's put him down in 19th place overall, 15th in class. He is still up 17 positions as well, mind you. We've just had a moment with Simon Honey, and guess what car Simon's in here? He's in a Porsche. Is the Porsche just not handling this circuit? Or, nope, over the curb he goes, unsettles the car. And the Porsche is doing Porsche things, Pete. I don't know if I would be wanting to be sitting in a Porsche about now because of the situation with the fact that every single, pretty much 90% of the incidents have all been Porsche-based. You know what I mean? It says a lot for the car at a circuit when you've got the likes of Magri having an incident in the Porsche, Edwards and Meyer in Porsches, Tuckers was in a Porsche as well, Honey's now in a Porsche and he's gone and binned it. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be sitting in the Porsche, Pete.
Fozzie's in a McLaren, mate. He was the first one to go. So,
whoa, Pete Baxter. Go back a minute here, dear sir. Fozzie's was just bizarre as hell. He just went directly left for no reason other than it looked like I don't know what he did. Come on, we can't put a McLaren that brakes to a Porsche that just wants to kill every single driver in incidents we've looked at.
Well, maybe it's set up though, JP, because you can get this new GT3 Porsche to settle quite well, and maybe it's set up, and maybe what we're seeing guys just overdrive it tonight at Hockenheim because it's such a beautiful wide racetrack to really try and cut some curves and save some time, and you've got to set up passes by coming out of corners really fast. Maybe it's just a little bit of setup. Maybe some guys have got some rear springs a little bit too stiff, and that's what's causing the oversteer, or maybe it's just that typical rear engine Porsche that says, Yeah, no, I've had enough tonight. We'll just throw you back in around.
You've done that same thing for 55 minutes. On 56 minutes, I'm going to go and bin you and put you into the wall. Let's talk Ford P6 and P7. They are, yes, Ray Oliver and Matty Keane doing a great job there, putting the Ford in there here as well. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure we'd all probably love to see a win from a Ford. Can I see that happening with the likes of Nick Wood, Owen Coleman and Alan Dawson up front? Well, that's going to be a little bit more challenging, Andrew. So, yeah, fair enough. Good morning, Tom Weston. Good morning, Cher as well, who said, let's go, Roo. So that's supporting our Roo Coestra. Let us know in YouTube chat who you are supporting as well. I promise we will respond. There's nothing better than talking to the community. Don't forget, like, subscribe, depending on where you are, if you're on the JPB or on the Premier Endurance channel. And don't forget to hit them bells, because you want to know when we go live with the GT3s from Australia, the GT4s from Australia, and we've got the GT3s coming up from the UK at Road Atlanta as well. So make sure you get involved and stay tuned for that one. Hit them bells, turn them on. You're not going to want to miss any of this action. Now we have got action further back with Trent Allen and Greg here as they're fighting their way on that run down now from Spitzkare down into down the Parabolica into Spitzkare here, Pete. Not very many Ferraris at the front end. Leif McClyman is one of them. And then you've got a bit of a gap down to 11th here. Now, this new Ferrari come out all song and dancing, and people were like, yay, yay, yay. Doesn't look like it's quite doing the business here for some of these drivers.
I don't think it's got the favour of some of the other GT3 cars, because some of the other GT3 cars have come out of the box and they've been super fast, and we've needed to wait to the iRacing officials and see the BOP and see them cut back a bit. I don't think that the Ferrari is necessarily super fast, but as per every other Ferrari GT3 I've driven in iRacing, it's stable and you can get a really good balanced setup really quick in it. But you're not necessarily always the fastest. But that might be Pete Baxter, right? Pete Baxter's never always the fastest. So, but what I find in the Ferrari is it's an easy car to settle, whereas something like the Lambo and the Porsche, it's a lot harder to get settled and get it balanced right and make sure that you can do it lap after lap after lap. So, you know, and who we got? We got Nick out the front, and what's he driving? He's driving a BMW tonight, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah. Nick's out the front of the BMW, but we got Porsches in P2 and P3, so they can't be that all bad, can they?
No. Well, Owen Coleman has made a little bit of a mistake here. He's hit that curb. That Mercedes has said no, but Coleman, he doesn't like it. And that curb coming out of turn 12, you cannot be on the outside ready there, because you end up like Owen Coleman. Now we can talk about the two Fords still in 6th and 7th, even though they managed to get past Coleman. And for Ray Oliver, he's having another go coming here into Spitzkare as well. Is he going to make the dive on the left-hand side here? He is going to make it. He is going to go through. Now Matty Keane said, I want a piece. Here he comes in that Ford as well. Here's Cledo and Coleman on that run down into turn 7. They're going to be side by side as well. If he opens up that steering, Coleman, you're going to be going off. Get that nose on the inside. He needs to get up the inside there as well. Coleman does make the move. I don't think Matty Keane's got enough to come back on the outside. He hasn't there as well. And now Keane himself has got to be worried about Dean Hunt. But Dean's in a Porsche. It's all right. In about an hour, he'll be off the side of the circuit. We know how it's been acting all day here in that Porsche as well. But great move there, I think, from the Ford of Oliver and almost from the Ford of Keane. He tried to follow Oliver through, had the gap, couldn't quite handle the speed of that Mercedes as he's coming into, well, Mercedes, funny enough, Eva there, Pete. So it was always going to be a tough one for Matty Keane to hang on to that position, especially where Coleman was going into that turn 8.
That was opportunistic, because I saw Owen Coleman just leaving the spot for Ray Oliver to get through, and I thought he was just going to do the switchback. But Matty Keane just snuck inside him and drove side by side out the corner. I thought, oh, you cheeky bugger. And then he held it, but obviously he couldn't hold it long enough. But, mate, massively opportunistic move from Matty Keane, and that's the kind of driver he was. But look, side by side all the way through. He stepped out of it when he couldn't get it after the next time. And Matty will have another go, because, you know, Ray and Matt, I know both of those guys, and they're keen to bring the Fords up as high as they can. They want to make the Ford something back in GT3. again, which I know they're not. There's a lot of people, don't like driving them, and they're out to prove that, the Ford is something that can be driven in this series.
Yeah, I think it's just knowing how to drive the Ford. I think that's the question for some people, is that you don't know how to drive it. You can see Keane and Hunt having a great battle here. It was almost contact there as Matty Keane went to cover off Hunt on that run down through the Parabolica and into the Spitzker. It was almost nearly back to front. But Owen Coleman is another one who's nearly trying to get through on Ray Oliver. Share, Rue is your son. Fair play to you for supporting your boy there as well. Coleman get it stopped as he comes up to the back end of Oliver there and just nearly made contact with him here as well. There's close racing going on all the way through this field. We've got pockets of battles happening everywhere, Darren. But whoa! That was Adam Jeff. That was Jeffery.
That was a dive from hell. What a massive move that was. It was that Adam Jepson having a crack on the inside, loses the back end a little bit, just drives off the outside. I tell you what, whoever he's trying to did so well just to let him slip out the front and keep going. Awesome driving there. Unfortunately, Adam's lost a few more spots, but that was a big dive. And Cher's thrown in another question there. Is there pit stops in this race? Yeah, Cher, I think there's at least 2 pit stops for everybody to go in this race. And within about the next 10 minutes, I think we're going to see the top 15 or so cars come in for a pit stop. None of them have pitted. Darren Burgess in P16 is the first one he's pitted. He pitted on lap 8, and that would have been the second safety car. So Darren Burgess is sort of leading on first pit stop order. He's now currently, he's quite a number of seconds behind. I don't know if he'll be in the front when the others pit stop, but if they do.
21.
Long way to go. 2 pit stops for everybody left.
Yeah, it's 21 roughly down to where Burgess is. 21 seconds from the leader for Darren Burgess here in that Ford, of course, is one of 4 Fords. Even Matthew Gerard is in a 4th. Unfortunately for Matty, that is all the way down in 30th. Gretsch is having a battle here as well. That's Coleman. That's Coleman again. Oh, Owen Coleman, what are you doing? No, dear sir.
I'm going to say, message Owen Coleman, mate, P4 in the championship, just settle in and drive. I think Owen's driving too hard for a championship progression rather than sort of driving for the best he can get at the time he's getting. And it's cost him a lot of positions tonight. I think, he's gone from essentially 2nd down to 7th. And, Owen, just settle in, take a breath, get your rhythm, man. Eyes forward and just race. And I think, we can go forward rather than backwards. But, look, that's the commentator's curse. I can't support one driver over the other. I'm just sort of pointing out here, I think Owen might be just overdriving a little bit, and it's costing him a little bit early on in this race. But he's got enough time to settle down. We've still got an hour and 18 to go. He's got plenty of time to settle down and make those positions back.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got to just try and get him back into that rhythm. I think them 2 offs at turn 12 has probably set him back a little bit mentally, and I think he's just got to sit there now and say, I can do this. That's the thing. The first of the recent pit stoppers is Matt Keane. He pitted on lap 21, so 1 lap ago. So he will be the first of the top 10 to take a pit stop as he's looking at going up the inside of Sean Benici here. Benici's going to give him loads of room coming down into the hairpin, which is what everybody else should be doing. And Keane says, thank you very much. I am on my bike. That is another one I need to get through. The next one is about 18 seconds up the road. So we'll keep an eye on Matt Keane's progress as everybody else starts coming into the pits. And then we will find out from our very own raving pit reporter, Mr. Jimmy Middleton, a little bit later on, who has done what, who's taken tyres. I hope he's writing this all down here, Pete, because we want to know all the facts when we go and speak to Mr. Middleton.
Well, Matty Keane took a 39.4 second pit stop, and so he would have taken tyres and a full tank of fuel there. But I'll shout out to Sean Benici there. That was a classic case of knowing that he's not racing Matty. Matty's come out of the pits maybe a little bit, behind side by side. Sean didn't fight him. He just let him take off because he knew he wasn't in a race with Matt. And that's really, that is, that's race IQ. And you don't see that a lot in iRacing. I love to see it. And when you see it, I've got to call it out. So kudos to Sean Bonici for his race IQ there. He's not racing Matty Keane tonight. He's racing a whole lot of other guys a little bit further down the field in the AM Championship and the Challengers Championship. And that's on Sean's mind. So he's just let Matty go through and go. And Sean's racing his race, not a race against Matty. That was good driving.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just not done enough in any form of racing in the officials that we have witnessed. It's knowing where you are, and especially in the likes of the multi-class races, knowing who to move out the way of and who to fight. Well, for Dawson, he knows he's in a fight, and the fight is with the man Nick Wood in that BMW. That is where the scrap is happening. This is where the battle's commencing. Dawson's lining up that very slippery, trigger-happy, accident-happy Porsche here this evening against that very stable BMW that will just eat curbs like the blue Milky Way car does from the advert from the 80s and 90s. If you're not old, you're not going to know what I'm talking about, but just search the red car and the blue car out of race and you'll see what I mean. Here as well, Dawson trying to have a go at Wood, coming down through the parabolica now. He's going to close that gap up. There's movement in front of us as well. That is Tucker having a move there at the same time. Tucker and Norris fighting it out down in 31st and 32nd in front of us. That's going to bring a different dimension because these guys are side by side here, Pete, and you've got the leaders coming around to lap them. How are they going to handle that? Because they're not going to want to move out the way when they're battling this closely.
Oh, and again, this is race IQ. We just talked about it. We had a great conversation about it, and now it's got race IQ. When you're a lapped car and you're in a fight, you've almost got to go, all right, I've got to let the leaders through, but I want to stay as close as I can to my fight. And how do you achieve that? And you've got to trust that the guy you're fighting with is going to do that as well, right? So there's an element of trust in all of this race business and race smarts. But hey, if they're just focused eyes forward and racing each other and they're not aware of the leaders coming up, on which they will, there'll be a blue flag in their windscreen's going, blue flag, blue flag, blue flag, then they're going to...
He's moved. He's moved.
Look, so he's made it easy now. Now, what you want to see now, as soon as a blue flag comes up for the guy who's fighting with, so he should tuck in behind, try and race up, and then essentially the two leaders come through and then they resume their fight. That's what good racing is about. Even when you're a lap car, you can do that and then retain the battle. And if you're not fast enough to be on the lead lap, and normally I'm not fast enough to be on the lead lap, you just got to suck it up and go, look, let the leaders go through, and I'll get my chance to fight again when I get my chance to fight again. If I really, really want to be fighting the whole time, well, I've got to learn to be faster so I can stay on the lead lap. That's the way I look at it. And, you always want to stay on the lead lap when you can in a race, but sometimes there's these aliens like Nick Wood, Alan Dawson, Leith McClimate out there in P1, P2, and they're just way faster than us human beings.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I think that's the thing. It's just knowing where you are on your own pace. And at the end of the day, if you're not up there and you're going to come around and be in lap, just do me a favour. Make my job a lot easier and stop me ranting at you. Move it over at the earliest possible convenience. I know the blue flag rule is facilitating iRacing. I understand that. But when I've watched Formula One for nearly 40 years and you see the cars just getting out the way, that's all I want. I'm easily pleased. Just please make sure you remove your car at the earliest possible convenience and not hold up anybody else, especially when you've got the likes of Wood and Dawson coming through. We've seen quite a few people jump into the pits as well. Here, lap 24, Rue Coistra went in that purple and white Porsche, which he's doing a stellar job with at this moment in time. So he's going to be the first front runners there. Keane isn't too far away. Didn't quite get there with Coistra. He's 7 seconds back at the moment. So Matty Keane, we knew, took the first jump on lap 21 here as well, currently setting the 1:40.66, which was 2 seconds last time out for Rue Coistra. Faster, but let's see if Matty King can get that gap down as well. Darren Burgess here is trying to make his way forward. He's pitted on lap 8, so he's a little bit out of sync with everybody else. He's gone and taken second currently on track. Alfonso Latella, Matt Carrick has also been and pitted as well. Brandon Grock is now going to move up. Cameron Edwards, Richard Meyer are also going to move up. But this is it for Coistro. If he can make the jump over some people, especially the likes, he didn't quite get Alan Dawson, I don't believe. They're going to be side by side. This is going to be an on-track battle once all these pit stops cycle through. Is Coistro going to be able to get through? He is going to be able to get through. And at the moment, Pete, Coistro really, technically, is the overall leader on the circuit. It depends on what Nick Wood does here. Depends on where he comes out in conjunction with Dawson and also Rui Coistro, because that could be the battle for the first three.
And this is what stood out to me, mate. Nick Wood hasn't pitted. Nick Wood has gone an extra lap. So despite being out the front, being where you'd think somebody was going to use more fuel than anybody else, Nick Wood's done an extra lap over everybody else. That's less time in the pit stop at the end of the race. Advantage Nick Wood.
Yeah, definitely there as well. Share, answering to your question, he went into the pits. He did have to take a pit stop, but he has now gone 18th and he's gone all the way back to 9th with the cycle of pit stops that have been happening in front of him. There's still a lot more people. Meyer's got to go in. It's Edwards, Grock, Carrick has also got to go in. Latella's not pitted at all at the moment, so he's almost 50-minute deep. As I say that, in he goes. In goes Wood. So it's where is Coistro in conjunction with Nick Wood? Is Wood stopped at the moment? That's going to be the question. He is. Here comes Coistro now. We'll pick up in after this with our man in the pit lane, Mr. Jimmy Whittleton, to tell us who's got fuel, who's got tyres. But this is the battle at the moment. Nick Wood's on his way out of the pits. Where is Coistro? He's not going to be close enough. I think Wood is going to be on his bike a little bit. He is, and he's opened up a gap. Nick Wood has opened up 4 seconds over these guys, at least here at the moment. That just goes to show you, Pete, how much of a pit stop strategy can actually work in your favour, because he is literally 3.5 seconds ahead of Rui Coistro.
Well, that's pit stop strategy. That's fast out lap. That's fast in lap. That's knowing, driving the pit right to the lane. It's getting in there. It's being right on the spot. Now, for the next sort of, I think, 20 minutes of this race, we're going to see an out of order. So we're going to see Darren Burgess, Jesse McMahon, Carrick, Groats, Edwards, Mayer. They're the top 6 of this race. They're going to be leading this race until they're due for their pit stop. Because remember, they came in at the safety car that was around about the 20-minute mark. So they've probably still got another 10 or 15 minutes worth of fuel, and then we're going to see the race normalise. And I think this is going to be like the exciting bit as this race goes, because we had those half the pit went through the safety car, or so half the field went through the safety car pit stop. We're going to see this race now mixed up all the way through to the end. Who's got it to the end? I think our effective leader still is Nick Wood, and I think they're with that 4-second gap. I still think we're looking at the Wood, Coistro, Dawson, even though the others are out of cycle. But I think the out of cycle will mean that the others will slot in higher where they may have other been if they didn't take those pit stops. So a really exciting race, and I think we might see some surprising results in the top 10 tonight. They're
going to come together. I just sat here, tried to do some maths in my head, which is never normally a good idea, but they're going to be around about 45 minutes. But I tell you what, instead of me trying to work it out, let's have a chat with our raving pit lane reporter, Mr. Jimmy Middleton. Jimmy, what have you got for us here down in that pit lane?
Nothing like a bit of pressure from you, JP. Cheers for that, mate.
No worries, mate.
We've got Latella's just come in and out, so he had a drive through earlier, but he's managed to stretch it to lap 27. So I'm not sure exactly where he's sitting at the moment within the field, but he's doing what he usually does, and his strategy game's pretty good. Wood, he pitted a couple of laps ago. The bulk of the field was all in on around lap 25, I reckon it was. So I had a few glitches going on. The cars were disappearing as I was sitting in the pits, but doing my best to keep up with it. Brant Tucker and Matty Gerard both stopped on lap 20. So they're maybe playing themselves a little bit.
Jimmy, 2 seconds.
Out of sequence. So.
2 seconds there, sir, as well. What has happened to Rui Coistro? What has happened to Rui Coistro? It has come up that he said he's had a bit of a moment. Oh, Okay, he was just a bit sloppy on the exit and entrance into Spitzker there. Trying to get the power down on that one, I think, as well, Pete. It looked like that car was having a bit of a moment coming out of Spitzker. So for him, he had to back right off, and that's brought Dawson straight back in it there as well. So Dawson's now closed up to that half-second mark. Sorry, Jimmy, carry on.
That's all right, mate. Yeah, so you got Leith, McClymont, Ricky, and Owen Coleman all stopped on 26, but Mick Wood, how good is the bloke?
Yeah.
Squeezing that extra lap here and there. He does it every race just about, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. What's the situation on tyres there? Do we know if people had tyres? Do we know if Wood's taken tyres? Wood
did take tyres.
Right, okay.
Can tell you, Wood did take tyres. Latella, Ricky, Owen, they were all up on the jacks. There's a couple of cars just sneaking out now. I didn't catch them. Sorry who that was, but they'll be good to go for probably the next 45 odd minutes, I would suppose. But that's why I was quite surprised in the first couple of safety cars there that no one, you sort of would have put yourself a bit of disadvantage with the track position, but in hindsight, you're going to be looking at a splash and dash if we're green to the end. So it probably would have been a bit of an opportunity to fill your tank, and you sort of got yourself right on point for the end of the race.
Well, I think we've got a dozen cars, Jimmy, that have done that have filled their tank in those safety cars and changed tyres.
I only got a couple, but yeah.
I had a half a dozen. So most of the leaders, I think, changed tyres because their pit stop times are around about the sort of all around 43 to 46 second mark. 23 seconds stationary, and in the GT3 that's a tyre change because the GT3 changes the tyres as the fuel goes in nowadays, so you don't have to do the fuel and tyres separately. So if you're going to take more than about 20 seconds worth of fuel, you might as well put 4 freshies on.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah, I only had who did I have on there? Richard Mayer. He stopped earlier and sort of put him. Yeah, Richard Mayer might put himself in there a bit, but again, it all comes down to your track positioning. When you come out, you got to then deal with the traffic afterwards, don't you? So much of a muchness.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jimmy, thank you very much for the quick update. We'll check in with you once we get that second cycle underway, and we'll see where people are sitting. I've got an average. If they've gone in for 20, they're lasting about 45. That would take them to an hour and 5. They're going to have to go in again round about the last 15 minutes, 10 minutes mark. This is all the people that pitted in that safety car back on lap 8. That's Burgess and Meyer at the moment as well. They're the ones out of sync. It seems everybody else that has gone and taken that decision to pit under the safety cars have gone in again and have dropped a little bit further back. But at the moment, Burgess and Meyer can pick up on Burgess. Guess what car he's in? He's in that Ford. So he is sitting out in front at the moment, but he will have to come into the pits within the next 10 minutes, and then he's got to go 45 again. So we'll see how far Burgess can get that up here as well. Don't forget, we have got separate classes. We've got the elites. They are in green. The challengers are in orange. So for Burgess, leading the race overall here, Pete, and in the challenger class, and in the Ford, he's doing a stellar job.
Oh, he might get a trophy just for leading a lap in the Ford, I think.
I think he should.
To be honest, he's got to be close to a pit stop. I think Darren and Richard, Burgess and Mayer still will have to do 2 pit stops to get to the end. I think everybody else is now on 1. So consider that, one more pit stop to the end. Some will be shorter pit stops than others, depending on where they stop during the race. So this is really, really interesting. Now, the worst thing that any of these cars needs is a safety car in the next 20 minutes, because that's too early for a pit stop to the end of the race, right? So that would really mess with everybody's heads. So, but as I sort of predicted, after those early 2 safety cars, the race has kind of settled down a bit. We've still got a little bit of argy-bargy with some of the cars, particularly as they come up to the hairpin. But other than that, the race has settled down. Most of them have spread out throughout, but we've got a couple of close groups. And, we've got some cars, drivers, they're not going to settle down. They're going to make every position that they can.
Absolutely, and Ruka is trying to make every position count at the moment as he's defending hard from Dawson. As these guys are coming into turn 8 through Mercedes, they go the left-hander. These double Porsche stack here as well. Who's going to be able to keep it on track, and who is just going to witness a Porsche doing Porsche things? Burgess is in that is a little bit earlier than I thought Darren Burgess would be in, but he is in the pits. That should give Nick Wood the overall lead at the moment, with Meyer in front in the Porsche as well. Meyer's got to go in, so we'll see Burgess where he comes out. He's going to be coming out in about another 10 seconds at the moment. He is going down the order. You can see it, unfortunately, there as well. So all you Ford lover, exciting Ford lovers, you have just watched one slip down from the lead into, well, he's still going. Is he going to be able to hold on in class? Can he stay away from Justin Davies is probably the biggest thing here. He's on his way out at the moment. They've come out literally nearly nose to tail. Davies is pulling time on Burgess, but I don't think he's going to be enough to get there. So Burgess will be settled in second overall there as well. So a great job from Burgess at the moment, but we're watching Owen Coleman and Leave McClyman as Owen's gone up the inside of Spitzker. He has got his way through here as well. Coleman last time out 1:39.42. Leave McClyman 1:39.59 here as well. It looks like Richard Meyer's had a moment in a, guess what car he's in? He's in a Porsche. What has Meyer been up to from the lead of the race here as well? He's gonna hit something. What is he? Oh, there he goes.
On the accelerator too early just to try and pull it out, I think. That's the way that looked to me. That was a classic, just coming out of that corner, just on the accelerator, and he's just oversteered a little bit and thrown it around the corner. And the shame of it is, you know, Richard Meyer, he's just lost a couple of positions there, but he's got a couple of laps over Burgess. Now, don't underestimate both Burgess and Meyer. Their last stop after Richard does his is only going to be a short splash and dash, whereas, you know, and they've got one stop left, whereas everybody else has got a near full tank stop. So they've still got an advantage over people in front of them if they can stay close to those up in lead. So they're still really in a good position to make a thing. Now, I was going to say, Rue Kawista and Alan Dawson, I've been looking at them too. Dawson's been following Rue really closely, and I noticed that Dawson got an extra lap out of his Porsche than Rue did on the initial stint. And what I'm thinking is, maybe Dawson is just sitting there saving fuel. And if he's got a couple of laps up his sleeve in terms of pit, that's about 3 to 5 seconds in the pit stop that he doesn't need to do, that Rue Kawista will need to do for fuel. So Dawson doesn't need to overtake Kawista on track if he saves fuel behind him and just sits there 0.2 seconds and just keeps him under pressure the whole race. I think that's advantage Dawson in that situation.
Yeah, I fully agree. We can see Keane and Allen on your screens at the moment. You can see Allen's got the run in Sector 1. He's 0.05 of a second faster than Keane here. We'll pick up on their second sector times as they come out of turn 8 in Mercedes here. The second sector time is just going to be on the halfway run from 10 to 11. Keep an eye on the bottom of your screen. Is this going to be another gain from Allen? I think it could be. He is not. He's lost 200ths now as well. He's got to go back at Matty Keane to see if he can get that inside line. He's going to have that out. Oh, that's gonna. I thought that was all about.
And Allen's trying everything to upset Matty Keane. Matty's just placed the car right in the middle of the track. Trent's gone from one side to the other. Matty has just been infallible. He's just sat there and he's just driving that car where he's going to drive a little bit of a defensive line. And I think Trent, he's got that. That's the kind of situation where you get frustrated if you drive, trying all these things, nothing's worked. Trent, just have patience, mate. You've got the speed. You will get a spot eventually. Just keep it under. But I'll tell you, Matty's like a brick wall. He is as solid as a rock driver, and he will keep you in his rear vision mirror without having any pressure. Matty's the kind of driver that can do that and not make mistakes. Whereas many of us human beings, we'll see that, and within about 3 or 4 corners, we'll make a mistake and let the car go. But here we go. Let's see what happens up in the hairpin.
Yeah, he does here as well. This is Allen's opportunity. Keane just puts it in the middle. He almost again, you can see their last lap times there as well. Here from Keane to Oliver, and it's going to be very, very hard for now Keane to get on. He's faster than Allen was faster over 33, 32. Keane was faster on 31. So these guys are keeping nice and close together with Keane, Allen, Kiley and Daniel Magri, who's battled his way back up, I should say, into 11th place after seeing his further incident that he had a little bit earlier on. So you can see the lap times on the bottom there. Different line going into turn 11. You can see that Ferrari was able to tighten out, but that big old gruffing Ford was not able to do that. He had to take a wider line. That gave him a bit of a decent run coming out of 12 round into 13, 14 and 15, where we're going here and now, and he has managed to hang on a little bit. Now Alan's got to look at going again with him, Pete. It's all about just putting Keane under pressure, picking at him bit by bit by bit by bit and seeing what he can do. He's got another 200s over the last lap as well. He's definitely got the pace for clearing Keane, but Keane, as you say, is defending like a trooper. He's just putting that car in the middle of the circuit and has done the same thing again down into turn 2. It is great driving from Keane here to hold Alan back, especially when he's lost nearly 4 tenths over the last lap alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And Matty Keane's it's just all about car placement. You can see that Trent Allen, he's got the speed. He's probably about half a second a lap faster. And I think Matty's a bit of a cork in the bottle here, and Trent got away, he'd pull away. But the other thing I've noticed is Jonathan Kiley, just right behind him, John's just running his normal race line and he's running space. So I think what we got here is we got a case where Trent's a little bit faster. John and Matty Keane are probably about the same speed. So this might frustrate Trent. This is a real test of patience for Trent Allen, right? We're going to see what his medal is, see what he can find. You know, how many laps is it going to take for him to find the spot? And he's going to have to set it up. I don't think this is going to be a case of going, okay, I'm just a bit faster on the brakes. I'll be able to nip and tuck in here, because Matty's placing the car where he needs to be. What Trent's going to have to do, he's going to have to set this up over 2 or 3 corners. Maybe out of turn 1, and put make Matty really slow out of turn 2 so he gets a nice big draft down the big straight of the Parabolica, and just think sort of 3 or 4 corners to set it up and get this overtake done.
Fully agree. He can't basically seem to be able to clear him at any other points on the circuit. You know, he's got to set him up in that manoeuvre, or he's got to rate with Keane to make a mistake. What he doesn't want to do from Alan's perspective is he doesn't want to go for a move and not make it, because if he goes for that move and doesn't make it, he's going to put himself in danger from the Lambo of Kiley behind and the BMW of Hannigan. So whatever move he's going to make here, he's got to define that move definitively and say, I am coming, this is mine. And you can see now Alan's majorly up alongside Keane at the moment. Sorry, Kiley, and now Kiley has got through over Alan. So all that diddling, dawdling, doodling that Alan was doing with Keane is now lost another place to Kiley. And if Kiley isn't as fast as Alan in front, Alan's going to battle again. That only means one thing, and that is that Keane is going to say, carry on, boys. See you later, I'm off. You scrap away and let me get away in my Ford there as well. Do they get a tow or a slipstream in this size vehicle? They do, yes, they do get a tow as well. The closer they are, obviously it does make a difference to them. And for John O'Kiley, get off your lights, sir. It's not a good idea. You know what I mean? We don't flash, we make it on the track. Don't even...
No. There's a setting now in GT3 cars. You can set them with lights on or lights off, right? So if you're in an endurance race, you can have endurance lights on a GT3 car, and what that does is puts the lights permanently on. So, you know, that's not Jonathan Kiley flashing lights. Oh. He's just got that setting in his setup, right? So you do it. And essentially, it's not really about flashing lights or having lights on for the car that you're racing against in the daylight. It's about having the lights on the car when you do a 12 or 24-hour race and you're in the dark at somewhere like the Green Hell Nürburgring. So that's a new setting, and I think he's just flicked that on in his setting, and it's on there for good. But I tell you what, Trent Allen, he let John O'Kiley through, and I'm wondering whether Trent went, righto, John, you have a crack, you have a see, and if all goes pear-shaped, I'm going to get through on both of you. If not, I'm going to see how you do it. I reckon Trent's just playing a little bit of a mental game here, because he genuinely lifted on the straight and let John O'Kiley come around and just slotted in behind him without pressure at the hairpin. So it was really interesting to see what he did there, and I want to see how that comes out. Now, Trent's 5th in the championship. The other guys, you know, Matty's 9th, and John O'Kiley, he's not even on my list there. So that's a really interesting mind game there from Trent in terms of the way he's played that.
Yeah, but it's not working out. And you know it's not working out because Kylie's made 2 mistakes so far. Alan needs to get back through now because they've lost nearly 1.2 seconds from Kylie making a mistake coming out of that Mercedes and a mistake going into Spitzker. And now they've lost time on key by him doing that. I don't get that maneuver. I'm, you know...
It's gone off.
Oh!
Alan has just lost the back end coming into
Turn
the
12.
second to last turn. Turn 12, he's just come out of there, a little bit on the throttle, a little bit of curb, and yep, just lost the back end, and off he goes. And after all of that, I was just talking him up for a strategic move, had to fight back around Jonathan Kiley and get his mind back into fighting Matty Keane again, and it's all gone pear-shaped. Get back in there, Trent, and fight back. I know you can, buddy.
Yeah, well, he's lost an absolute bunch of positions. He's now down into 23rd place, 16 in class at the moment. Not an ideal manoeuvre there as well. The field are getting a little bit spread out as we pick up on the Cameron Edwards and Alec Kay battle down in 16th and 17th place here. They're going off running around the Spitzker as well, but you can see how different that car reacted coming out of that corner there. As soon as he went on the exit curb at 12, it get him all a little bit wiggly, and I can guarantee from Trent Allen's perspective there was a lot of inputs going on that steering wheel. So you can see him coming out of 12 now. He runs it a little bit wide, gets that Ferrari unsettled, turns in while on the curb. There's the correction, and unfortunately for him, he didn't kind of make it. But that was the problem he had. As we see Cameron Edwards now make a mistake as well. And that's going to allow Jesse McMiniman through in that Ferrari. So Edwards has got to go and do whatever he was doing. He's got to go and do it again as he was under pressure. But he is in a Porsche. Owen Coleman now fighting out at the front with Dean Hunt here currently at the moment as well. Hunt and Coleman scrapping it out for 4th and 5th overall here, Pete. Not a bad run at all from Dean Hunt.
And it looks like Owen settled his brain. Remember, Owen ended up in P7 after starting really well in P2. So he sort of dropped down to P7 by fight. He's got his head back. I think he's back into enduro mode now. And he's going to pick up another position there over Dean Hunt. So now he's back up into 4th. I think Owen's got his race head back on. I think those safety cars might have just unsettled him and he just needed that sort of 10 or 15 minutes just to get into endurance race mode. Now he's settled, and guess who he gets to fight? He now gets to fight Ruquistra, and it looks like Nick Wood and Alan Dawson up the front are having a fight of their own, mate. Is that what I'm saying?
No, they're not at the moment. They're 5.5 seconds apart for Dawson and Wood. Currently here as well. Hunt and Coleman are a little bit close together. Kylie and Hallinan, we've not really spoken much about Martin Hallinan in that BMW. He's just gone about doing his business, made his way through the field. He's gained 3 places at the first beginning here and popped himself inside that top 10. People that have lost positions at the moment, and one of the biggest losers on the circuit, they are in orange. You can see Grot down 18, Sutherland 16, Magri 16. They've all been involved in incidents. Maya, we've seen as well, did all the hard work and then went and binned it. And unfortunately for Maya, on lap 37, I believe it was, that he ended up dropping down there as well. Carrick down 11 places. Jepson down 6. Biggest gainers so far at the moment, Matty Keane and Ricky Provenzali, both up 15 places here as well, with Ray Oliver in that other Ford up 14. So a great job from some of these drivers, not so great job from others, and one of them is Meyer, and he's chasing Edwards and McMiniman now to try and get some positions back here in that Porsche as he sits 13 in Class P. Can always be hard when you've gone and had an incident. It's always harder trying to cool your head and come back through the field again.
Well, no, that's it, and the ability to just have an incident and get your head back in and drive fast. Yeah, some people have it, some people don't, because some people just lose their cool so easily, and it takes them 4 or 5 laps, and when they do that, they sort of lose 2 or 3 seconds a lap. But it looks like, in this case, Owen's sort of, he's got his mojo back. He's flying. We've got to see Trent Allen get his mojo back, and I think he'll be back up there. Ricky Provenzali, you called him out, but Ricky always starts from the back. So, we know he's a fast driver, and he's a little bit of a test case for the whole field, and he always makes a whole lot of positions. I tell you who I do like, Ray Oller and Matty Keane, those Fords. They didn't qualify all that well, and they're both up 14 and 15 positions. That is genuine, because I know that blokes like Ray Oliver and Matty Keane, they don't balk at qualifying. They give it all the best that they can. So to be up that far, and John O'Kiley in the Lambo, he's doing really well too, to be up 14 positions. So that's really good driving from those guys. They're not necessarily out of position in terms of pit stop. They all stopped on around about that 24-25 mark with the lead pack. So, they're actually driving really well. And I think they've taken most advantage of those that have had crashes and off track so far. Just driven smoothly, not been too aggressive. And what they've done is they've put themselves in a really good spot to be able to sort of solidify a result at the end.
Yeah, they have there as well, and a great job from these guys. Myers dropped back a little bit from Edwards, and now Kay is under attack from minimum in that Ferrari here as well, as they're battling for 5th and 6th with Edwards in the challengers there as well. So 5th and 6th in class going on, 17th and 18th overall here as well. And Alec Kay is in 12th in class at the moment. Rue's surname is pronounced Koistra. There's Mum.
Well, that's on you and me. Yeah, thanks, Mum, Dad.
Mum.
Yeah.
Cheers, Mum.
That's awesome. We've been calling him Kuistra for like four races now. So,
I know.
So Rue Koistra, welcome to GT3 Racing, Rue Koistra. It's good to see you up the front of the field. Haven't had you here for a long time, and good luck for the race tonight.
Yeah, and never ever calling us out in the community to say, boys, you're getting my name wrong. You know what I mean? Maybe you just don't watch it back, Pete. Maybe that's the problem. That's why we've never been told that it was
Either that, or look, some people are just too kind and too much of a gentleman to be able to worry about things like that, and they just enjoy the feedback and the banter and the race that they get.
I got a funny feeling Gerard's hit that sausage curb.
He's not in a Porsche, is he?
No, he's in a Ford, isn't he? It doesn't matter. The thing is with that curb, right? We've seen it claim a BMW. We've seen it claim a Porsche. We've now seen it claim a Ford. And that's that curb. You can't do that. You can't.
Oh, no, that's a different curb. That's the 12. That's the last corner curb.
Yeah, it's a 14 coming out, 15 exit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that one on any car will turn you around if you touch that. Because essentially you've already got the car on the limit. You're pulling it round 2 turns to make to get you a drive onto the straight really quickly, and that curb just unsettles it whilst you've got a car at the limit. It doesn't matter what car. You don't even need to drive a Porsche to see that.
No, you just need to be on the sausage curb and have your accelerator on. I'll tell you what, because that at the end of the day would have been dangerous there as well. Doesn't matter what car you're in. 45 minutes on the clock. We will be coming into that next window within about 15 minutes time. So we will start seeing a second round of pit stop going on as well. He is a gentleman. I'm sure he is, Mum. And I'm sure he didn't want to just DM me and say, James, you got my name wrong. You know what I mean? Which is famous for an English commentator, because we never really get it right at the end of the day, because we're English and we sound things out and it sounds nothing like it should have said it before, to be blatantly honest. And sometimes, though, we don't get it right either. So, it ain't just on me. But, Hunt looks like he's had a moment as well. What is oh, no. And what car's he in, Pete? Can't do that.
Oh no, you can't do that. You can't do that on a Porsche either. No, and he's come back right onto the exit part of the track. Oh, look at that. He's picked the gear, he's driven it straight off. He's going to keep going. Ooh, that's good for the race. Ooh, good rejoin. He stayed. Oh, yeah, he's right. He's on the racing line, but I tell you what, he had nowhere else to go. He couldn't go across the track because there are other cars faster coming along. That was really well done to get back into the race like that, but unfortunate, and another Porsche bites the dust.
Definitely does there as well. He's still in the race, as we said, for Dean Hunt. He's sitting in 7th. But what sort of damages he's got on that Porsche, he must have something. And if he hasn't, well, all of a sudden the Porsche has turned into a house brick, because you're bouncing curbs here, mate. I'm not gonna lie. You're not gonna want to be doing that in that Porsche, because have we not learned from turn 1 here, Dean Hunt? You know what I mean? It needs to be a little bit more. Give it a little bit more of a wide berth there, because the Porsche doesn't like this. I think you can see it doesn't like it, but there is also a... What was that?
That was somebody else mirroring Dean Hunt. But mate, if he's still got... If Dean's still got a fast repair left, he can pit now and make it to the end. So he can do his last pit stop, use that fast repair and make it to the end. I don't think that's too much of a damage given the timing of the race or where it's at. Every car could pit now and make it to the end. Whether they do or not, and I don't think they will. You know, that the smart strategy move now is to race and race and race and get until you just need the minimum amount of fuel to get to the end, right? And carry the least fuel and be the lighter car as you can to get to the end, you know, unless there's a safety car. But if somebody needs to, you know, execute a pit stop to use a fast repair, you can do that now and still race to the end. You might fall down the back, but you'll that's probably the best strategy if you're going to lose a lot of time through damage or something like that. But essentially, I think most cars are just going to drive this out, and we'll see the likes of, I reckon, the last person to come in the pits, other than Richard Mayer and who was it, Darren Burgess? I think they'll be the last two to come to the pits for their splash and dash. But other than that, it's going to be Nick Wood. I think he is just going to enduro this out above everybody else, and it's going to be a wake-up call.
Yeah, one of the things I want to pick up on really quickly. I've been looking at Brandon O'Loughlin. You can see Brandon's car there. Basically, it's got no front end on whatsoever on that Ferrari. There is literally nothing on there. He's still managing to go. There's not even, well, there's just nothing. No bumper, no splitter, but it looks like he's taking that off at the same time, and he's got literally nothing. So for him, still going around doing 145s at the moment, which is quicker than some, quicker than one person in front of him at the moment, but it looks like Matty Gerard may have had obviously another moment there as well. So unfortunately for Gerard, not going too well, or also, as we can see, Brandon O'Loughlin, who thinks he's definitely been in his own little moment here as well. And Simon Honey is another one that's also had a moment, and oh dearie me, come on please. Oh,
that's not his own moment. That's a two-car coming together. I think that's something race control are going to have to look at.
Yeah, that wasn't Magri, but it was one of the boys there from the Riot Squad. Who else is in a Porsche with Simon Honey? I didn't quite see the number of that looming Porsche behind. That's Dawson. Oh. Alan Dawson.
Oh, that's big news for the race.
They're 3 wide in the hairpin there as well. Burgess in that Ford, making a move on there as well. So Burgess in the Ford currently was battling it out once more as he is gone past Mr. Kiley, and Kiley's now going to look at trying to come up the inside into 8. He is. Burgess is going to try that cutback in that Ford and have a go. Keane is in front of him, also in his sister Ford there as well. So we've got 2 Fords battling out. We've actually got 3 Fords in the top 10. Let's go forward with Ray Oliver and also Matt Keane and Darren Burgess there as well. But for Alan Dawson, if that's a penalty incoming for that incident that he did try and force his way through, yes, it was on a back marker, and I understand that, but you've got to wait. You know what I mean? As we said, it's a two-way street here, and they've got to wait a little bit once more. As we can see, Burgess is really pushing Kiley at the moment, and Kiley's trying to go through. Matty Keane first of the second runners into the pits here, Pete, as well. So that started kicking off with Justin Davis has gone off as well. But for Alan Dawson, if that's a penalty incoming, he can kiss goodbye to that podium. He ain't going to get it.
No, well, that's right. I talked about him just sitting there behind Rue Cloister, and and if that's happened, and look, even though he's a lap car, you've still got to facilitate a safe pass when you get it. You can't just bump and run past lap cars. So I think race control are going to have a look at it, and they're going to have to consider that, yeah, it is a lap car. So I wouldn't call that from a race control perspective, because they might have to go back a few corners and see whether the lap car has actually, done what they needed to do to facilitate the faster car coming through, or whether they've sort of fought when they shouldn't have to fought. So there's a couple other considerations that come into more than just what we saw in one corner there, and we'll leave that one to the race controllers, see what happens. But if Dawson's in trouble, then that's going to upset his race.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think for Dawson, he's going to be under pressure. He's in the pits now. Is this a stop and go, or is he just going to drive through, or is he actually going to stop? It's a drive through. It is a drive-through for Dawson there as well. We're guessing that is the repercussions of that incident. That drops him down into fourth. But now he's chasing down Owen Coleman in front of him once more. So that's going to be now tough for Dawson. He's got to go again. And that 3-second gap he did have to Nick Wood is now nothing short than 16 seconds. Pete, looked like he did get a drive-through for it.
Well, it's not a bad place to have a drive-through. Oh, we got another incident on the last corner. It's not a bad place to have a drive-through because it is a short pit lane. It's only about a 16-second penalty for a drive-through. So, you get a 15-second time penalty, just do your drive-through and go on. So, it's not too bad of a place, but it still cost him. It's taking him off the podium, and he's going to have to really get his head down and fight back to see how it's going. But look, at the end of the day, it's served. Race control have called that. Then he just needs to be a little bit more aware about that little bit extra space when he's overtaken, even though they are blue flag markers. Cop it on the chin, put his head down and fight back. As we know, Owen Coleman's been under a little bit of pressure at the start of the race. Maybe Alan can put a little bit of pressure back onto Owen as we get closer to the end of the race. Yeah. And all of these cars have still got that pit stop to go just to get the fuel to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the pit stop count. Some have got 1. Carrick's got 3. Meyer 2. Edwards 2. McMinimum 2 as well. Grox, Sutherland, Magri, Jepson. These are all people that have been involved in little tat-tat-tats with either other drivers or, mind you, a big red sausage curb that has caused a great deal of issue going into turn 1 and also coming through 14 and 15. So we'll see how this carries on now as well. Roy Coystra and Leif McClyman and Dean Hunt are all in the pits. They have all gone into the pits. Let's see where this goes now. That should bump up Burgess. It has done. And for Burgess and Oliver now, they're sitting in 4th and 5th overall, but they've got pit stops to make there as well. For Richard Meyer, as you can currently see, he's also got no... Oh, John O'Kiley. Oh.
What's happened to Jono?
All right. Curve coming out at 15. There we go.
No, just a little bit extra, too much throttle and oversteer coming out of the corner again. Didn't look like he touched the sausage curb through the middle of 2 corners. You might have just gotten it a little bit too early, which you can do in these cars. And like I said, the Lambo's just as dangerous as the Porsche in terms of throwing the rear end out if you get on it too early. And if you're going to pick that car to drive, you've got to be really careful in terms of throttle usage.
Do you know what's worse about that? If you look at the way the car was moving already, when he come off that sausage curb off that last corner, that car was going sideways all day. He just didn't have it remotely under control. When he come off this curb, and let's see if we get a little bit closer. When he come off there, he's already going at this point. So it is only one way now is how long he was going to be sliding for. I think that's the problem for Kylie. As soon as he come off that curb, he unsettled the car and he was already going. So unfortunately for Kylie, it was just a matter of how far he was going to go and whether or not he was going to be able to hold on to it, I think, as well. I think that curb did unsettle him, but we have got Coleman, Dawson and Oliver. Don't forget, Dawson has been through the pits, settling a drive-through, and now the Ford of Darren Burgess is back up into the misty heights of second place here on track, and now Ray Oliver's got it in. Matt Carrick has now put himself back up into third in that Porsche, and Meyer and Koistra. Let's see what Rue's going to be able to do, and where is he going to come out? He is going to come out literally alongside Dawson. This is a rerun of the first time around as well. Has Dawson got this over the second set of pit stops? He has got him as well, and Coleman has moved himself up and has got both of them going into this pit stop cycle. So for Owen Coleman, great job there. Dawson and Koistra are going to have to go again, Pete, because they've just lost positions that they didn't want to be losing in that pit stop to the man in the Mercedes.
I'll tell you what, that was Dawson using that fuel strategy I talked about earlier. Not necessarily trying to overtake Koistra, but what he was doing was just sitting there saving fuel, which meant when he had that 5 seconds or so less in the pit stop, and that you've just seen the benefit of that. He's come out in front and he's made those 2 positions. He's now in the prime position, but Nick Wood's still out. He hasn't come in the pits, and I reckon Nick's just gone into the pits now. So look out for Nick to come out, and we'll see whether he retains the big advantage that he's had all race.
Yeah, as well. De Burgess is still not gone in. Burgess will take the lead if Nick Wood does not get out quick enough. Nick is still in there. Here comes Burgess. Now he is going to take the lead, but we are going to expect that Ford to come in conjunction to where Coleman is. Coleman's a long way back, and Wood is already out. So Wood will retain the lead once Burgess goes and pits. That's a back marker of Gerard in front of him currently at the moment, so don't get excited that there's another Ford up that high. It's not. It is Gerard there as well. Carrick's dropping down the order. He's gone into the pits, so this technically is going to make Nick Wood 1, Coleman 2, Dawson 3, and Koistra in 4th place. Come when Meyer, Burgess and make their pit stops here, Pete, there's going to be a nice little shift and change around. And Magri is now finding out with Ray Oliver. Oliver's going to have another go in that Ford coming into turn 2. Is he going to be able to maintain it? He isn't. Magri there is going to be able to get the job done and move himself up into 7th overall. So still some great battles materializing here as well. Daniel Magri last time out 139.24 with Lee McClymont 139.27, and obviously Ray Oliver has just come out of the pits because he's done a 2:16.31, so he has just come out of the pits there. So let's keep that in mind and see what he can do. What's happening with Martin Hallinan and Matt Carrick? Well, they've been swapping lap times. However, Carrick was a bit slower last time around by about 3 seconds actually on a 1:42.58. Hallinan's closing on a 1:13.937 and has now just made that move past Matt Carrick going into the Spitzker. So I don't know if Carrick is carrying damage or if he's just got a general problem, but I can tell you one man who is carrying, he's just had his car fixed here, Brandon O'Loughlin, as it looks like he's just had another moment coming into turn 2. Here again, he goes in a little bit deep there off the side of the circuit, and unfortunately for Brandon O'Loughlin, he's not having a good time currently in that Ferrari. We're in this last little settle stage down now, Pete, as well. 30 minutes on the clock remaining. Let's pick up with our pit lane roving reporter Jimmy Middleton, who is there rubbing up and down. Did they take any tyres this time, Cher? Well, the man with that knowledge, the man with that news is the one and only Mr. Middleton. Let's find out. Jimmy, welcome back in.
Thank you, boys. Most of them all taking the tyres there for their last stops. Tucker seemed to be the one, he was first in to get himself to the end. Might have been banking on a later safety car to try and jump himself up a bit, but yeah, she's all go for the rest now, isn't it?
So as Nick Wood, did Nick Wood and the leaders who are going to be Wood, Coleman and Dawson?
Coleman came in, where have I got him here, 48 or 49 it was. He came in same time as Ricky. I'm not sure where Ricky seems to be sitting down in 17 or something, but he might be sort of on the tail end about to get lapped there. But Coleman doing his usual, isn't he? He's, as he's complaining about the weather and then just gets on with it. As gets a bit uppity when it doesn't go his way, but he's looks like he's gone all right and he's fighting his way back. So yeah, we'll just wait for Nick. I haven't caught him coming in, so I don't know whether you guys have seen that. Or
Yeah,
if
he
he's,
is in.
Still waiting to come.
No, he's been in already. The only one left is Darren Burgess in that Ford at the moment. So we don't know if Wood's taken tyres. Do we know if Coleman or anybody else that you did manage to catch there, Jim? Did the car go up on the jacks?
It did, yep. Coleman definitely took tyres. There was 3 or 4 of them all sitting over one another. You know what it's like in the when they've got. There was a dozen cars all sitting in that one end, but Coleman definitely got them. I got Burgess last stopped on lap 31, so he's doing all right. He'll obviously have to do one more, I would imagine.
Yeah, he's going to have to there as well. Well, Jimmy, thank you very much for that update. I'm sure Share in YouTube chat will thank you for that one. But Jimmy, catch up with you at the end of the race, buddy. Thanks once more.
No worries, mate.
All right, there we go. Ricky there as well. Some insights. We've got tyres on Coleman's car. We're going to have tyres on Dawson's. I think in the Porsche, I'd be wanting to take tyres as often as I possibly can. Maybe put on an extra set, make it an 8-wheeler. That would be a good idea. As these back markers here are getting into a little bit of the way, that is actually Richard Meyer, who's fighting for position, and Sean Benici is under blue flag and has been for a while. That's now going to allow Coleman and Dawson to go side by side. Benici put himself in a bit of a position. This could be the overall track position. Koistra, Dawson, Coleman. Meyer's going to duck out the way very, very shortly. He pitted on lap 33. He's got to be coming in very, very shortly for Meyer. He's not going to be this time around, but this is a track position battle here, Pete, for the 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th, which could evolve into 1, 2, 3 on that, or 2, 3, 4, because I would looking comfortable at the moment, but 2, 3, 4 on that podium.
I think it's 2, 3, 4, because we know Meyer's got a pit again, but seeing Coleman, Dawson and Koistra there fight hard and actually having the back markers bring them close together and put them side by side just makes this race a whole lot more exciting. I mean, one thing that stood out to me about those pit stops, though, is Coleman, Dawson both had 27-second stops, so 27.8, 27.4 respectively. Koistra had a 29-second stop, so he took a little bit more fuel. Nick Wood, 25.9 second stop, mate. So he has had a 4-second less fuel drop on the last stop than Koistra, and a 2-second less fuel stop than Dawson and Coleman. So despite being out the front and fast, he's using less fuel. Mate, that guy is flying. I think Nick is really settled tonight. This is now a race for P2.
Yeah, it's Myers now trying to hold on that run down into turn 11. Here we go. Myers going to go through. It looks like Hanlon has had a bit of a big one there. And we'll see if we can catch up and see what happened to Martin Hanlon very, very shortly. I've got 3 incidents. Apparently he's had 3 crashes in the space of a couple of seconds. So we'll see what went on with Martin Hanlon. But Meyer is holding on to this position and he's holding back Coleman. There he goes. That's going to free up that Mercedes machine. Now it's all about this positioning of where they're going to come in conjunction with Burgess. Now they should technically get Burgess. That is the gainers that they've got at the moment. So they should technically get Burgess here as well, as he's coming into their pit stops very, very shortly. It's 21 seconds. So for Burgess at the moment, he is going to be coming out round about McClymon in 6th place. So keep an eye on Darren Burgess. He is the leading challenger as well, and he is quite a long way ahead of Dean Hunt. As you can see, Hunt is 38 seconds back. Coleman's now got on his bike. He said thank you very much. Koistra and Dawson now are going to be left trying to chase that Mercedes down, and that Mercedes under Coleman is not going to be an easy thing to close up on.
Yeah, don't forget, I don't think Burgess is not racing for the win here. He's still got another splash and dash that he has to do, but he's obviously got to minimise that. But the longer he stays out the front and stays ahead and gets free track, he's effectively going to be overcutting everybody else. So that's where Darren Burgess' race is. He's not racing Nick Wood. I don't think he's racing Coleman, Dawson or Koistra. I think
Burgess coming in, boys. Burgess is
he's racing about Jepson, Carrick, Hallinan in the P10, P12. Just coming in the pits now with the splash and dash. We'll see where he comes out and see whether I'm right or not with that guess.
Yeah, well, let's see here as well. Wood does retake the lead. Coleman, Dawson and Koistra. He's taken tyres. He's taking tyres. He's up in the air.
I wouldn't have done that if I was him, but...
No, I wouldn't have done that being this close to the end either, and I'm not even a driver. But he's up in the air, isn't he? He's taken what looks like tyres on the left there as well. And for Burgess, he's going to put himself in a very difficult position here because he's going to be coming out round about where McClymont was. I am surprised he took tyres there, Pete. I would have just gone for it. And now he's lost a place to Magri as well. And now he's got Oliver coming up behind him at the same time. So for Darren Burgess, I'm not sure there. Jimmy, as you said, you wouldn't have taken him?
We're going to safety car, boys. I've just heard the safety car get called.
Ooh.
We have got a safety car. Somebody's had an incident down the hairpin. I think I heard Matty Keane having a call out. So if we go back, JB, we might be able to find something. There's a safety car coming out. It's going to neutralise this race.
Oh.
What for? That was the contact with the Ferrari, wasn't it? That was at the time. That wasn't Trent Allen. It was in front of Trent Allen. And it isn't Brandon Cock either. Who is that? Is that Hugo? It is. Hugo Sutherland battling away with Matty Keane.
What an interesting incident. They are side by side through the hairpin, so that's all fair.
That's the first knock.
Oh, yeah, there's just a little bit of a tap there. There's some racing room. I'm not going to call if there's enough or not. I'm going to leave that to race control. That's probably the only thing that they need to have a look at. But, Matty Keane might have been a little bit of netcode there that forced him to bump the way he did. But, Hugo had it right. He was side by side through that corner. But, there's got to be racing room for both cars on the way out. And that's the decision that race control is going to have a look at. But, hey, safety car. So with all of that noise that we've had, we've got a race neutralised. Nick Wood has lost his massive advantage, and that's given Owen, Coleman, Alan Dawson and Rue Koistra an opportunity to catch right back up again.
Now, boys, Burgess has taken, we'd assume, at least 2 tyres there.
Yeah.
So he's looking like he's got fresh rubber compared to these fellas ahead of him. So he might be able to do a bit of damage here.
Yeah, well, he's pitted 5 laps later than Wood up front. So that's going to be an interesting thing. One of the questions on Waterboat on the Sutherland Keane incident, different classes for Hugo Sutherland. And I say, I think he's new in here as well. Now, I've got him in the Challenger class. I'm going to presume that, Jimmy, you might be able to confirm if that is where Hugo actually is in this series.
I'm actually thinking he was in the elite class because he's in with Alex Kay. The two of those fellas work together with Alex's channel. So I'll have to chase that one up a bit more for you, JP.
Yeah, and we'll have a look and see. Maybe it might have just been listed in the wrong class there as well, because nothing worse than having a battle with somebody in a what is technically or should be deemed a slower class to cause an incident there as well. And we know Keane has been looking quite quick all day. Just unfortunately for Keane, he's not now having a good time as we go into this latter third of this race. What can Burgess do here, Pete? Do we think that fresher rubber, is he going to be able to maintain his speed now and go and start making moves over these guys? I'm a bit worried that his best times are 1:38.8 in conjunction with Woods is a 38.4 and Coleman's a 38.2 and Dawson's a 38.1 and even Rue Koistra in front is a 38.5. He is, apart from Leif McClymont, the slowest one in the top 6. Can he do the damage that we're hoping he might be able to do here, Pete, back on this restart?
I'm going to say that he doesn't. I'm going to say that the new tyres are needed because the Ford is a car that is known to burn its tyres out. And I think the reason he changed his tyres is because the Ford wears them out so much. He needed to change the tyres to be able to maintain his lap consistency, not to be fresher than everybody else. This is not a case of the BMW or the Porsches out the front having fresh tyres against unfresh tyres. I think this is a case of the Ford needing fresh tyres because he had that pit stop and he had so long to go and there was an opportunity to put them on. So that's my read of the situation. If he wasn't in the Ford, if he was driving, say, something like the Merc or the Porsche or the Beamer, I'd say, yeah, the fresh tyres might make enough of a difference, but I don't think in the Ford's going to make enough difference. Now, I'm going to come back to your other conversation, and I'm going to even up it because Hugo is listed as an elite driver, so that is a fair one-on-one race. Hugo's not really high in the championship. Looks like he's only scored a couple of points, so he hasn't had a lot of races and had really good finishes, but he is an elite driver, so he's fair to race Matty Keane there on the same lap.
Right, okay, that has been corrected there as well. I don't remember him, so maybe it was only in the first race that he might have actually taken part in, Pete, because I've been here for the last few and I haven't actually seen him here as well. And he wasn't in my list. So, Cher, won't they be cold tyres? That's a tricky one, isn't it? Because, Jimmy, you might be able to jump in on this one. Warming tyres up after coming out of the pits on a pace lap is a very difficult job to do here. So is Burgess going to have to wait a few laps before he's got them tyres properly up to temperature?
Hey, but if he's throwing it through the corner while we're doing these pace laps, you can sort of generate a bit of heat in them. All these other guys now, their tyres will have dropped off a little bit, so that generally gives them a little bit of performance for a bit. But if they get too cold, obviously they're going to be on a skating rink. So
it's a real balance with the GT3.
It is. And like Pete said, the Ford they are an animal with the tyres. I tested it earlier in the season and I could only get about 5 laps out of it before I was absolutely roasting them. So I decided to go with another mate because of that. But if these guys have got it dialed in, then which he seems to have, it's truth, to have it running in the top 5 even is no mean feat.
No, I fully agree with you there as well. Let's see what happens with this pace car this time around and whether or not it's going to be heading in. I believe it is. Wood has backed him all the way up now once more. So here we go. It's all going to be on Wood. He's got to try and open up that gap. He has just watched a 10-second gap plummet down to half a second. He's going to pick his moment. He wants to unsettle Coleman. Coleman's guessing. He is guessing all the way through. When are you going to go? When are you not going to go? Is he going to go? He's been dragging him down to the line before he's even completely bolted. Me personally, I would have gone, go, get out of the way. Leave them to fight it out here as well. But Coleman is still sitting there as Wood. Now Wood has gone. Now Coleman's going after him with Dawson, Rue Koistra, Leif McClermont and Darren Burgess in that Ford, of course, and this is it. Sit tight. The last 15 minutes of absolute barnstorming racing from the Game of Gear Direct GT3 Championship presented by Premier Endurance League, brought to you live on the JPB YouTube channel here as well. And now this is the one, guys. You're going to get your drinks, you're going to get your popcorn. It's all on Wood. Can he open that gap? Can Wood do it? Or is Coleman going to be able to get hold of him once more as well? Is Alan Dawson going to be able to throw himself in? Are we going to see the Ford in the top 4, top 5? Let's see what happens here as well. But settle down, guys. This is it. 15 minutes, Pete. And already Burgess is having a go. Give him room to get it back on there, Leaf. God blimey, Governor. You can't quite squeeze him that much. He ain't an orange there, sir, in a juicing machine. I can tell you that much. But here we go for Burgess. He's going to have a look at the inside of 8 as well. He is going to try and make it through. Now they're going to run side by side out 9. McClermont's not backed off. He's kept his nose in. The Ford has bounced the curb. Burgess has moved it up as well. So has Oliver. He's just taken advantage of the outside line of Leif McClermont trying to come through. Out of turn 11 into 12 now he goes. He's battling away side by side. Oliver trying to get his nose up the inside. Burgess made that position there, Pete. Wood got the start he needed. He's opened up half a second at the moment. But Burgess trying to make tracks in that Ford.
Oh, how good is it? I've never enjoyed watching three Fords race side by side like that before. This race has brought those cars alive. And what we've had... Oh, no, there we go. Is that Burgess? It just had a little bit off as he come out.
No, McClymon's pinned it. McClymon's pinned it. There was more than him involved in that as well. I've got a funny feeling that might need to be a safety car, because I'm not lying. I think there was quite a few people who got caught up here. And I'm trying to find the initial contact with Luke McClymon, and we're not picking it up. He's had an incident. So I'm trying to find where it actually went on, and it's here. He's hit that curb. Oh, he's bounced the Ferrari on the inside curb.
The other cars have just had to avoid him. They've just done everything they can to avoid him, and it's cost a couple of other cars. No driver infringement, just a driver error. Poor old Leith and a couple of other innocent parties there have fallen victim to that. I don't know who they are at this stage, but hey, with 15 minutes to go, that really hurts to drop down in this field.
Yeah, I think there might have been Jepson involved in this, and I'm wondering how much Jepson saw of Oh, he's already snapping the car. There he is. Oh, there's the contact. Jepson then goes round. He's coming back. His back end's already nearly on the track as well. You see all the other cars go whizzing past us there once more. It's like I played a Billy Whiz video in full speed there at one point. I can tell you that much. As all these cars went whizzing past us. It was, a bit of a manic one there at the moment. But Dean Hunt has survived with Ray, Oliver and Darren Burgess, who are currently now sitting in 5th, 6th and 7th here as well. So Darren Burgess making tracks. He's opened up 2.2. He has lost 1.8 to Roy Coystrow. Roy is sitting in 4th. Hasn't looked like he's quite got the pace to keep up with the front lot. What about Provenzali? Well, he's up 25 and he's just about to make it here as well. 26 as he just goes past Cameron Edwards there as well. And now he's having to go all the way to try and get onto the back of Martin Hallinan. That's two BMWs together. Hugo Sutherland's back in with Davies, Grock, and Trent Allen and Luke McKay. All of these guys have had some form of ta-ta-ta. And if you don't believe me, look at Luke McKay's front end, because there ain't anything of it, as you can see there as well. Just his Ferrari body going to be flapping around. I'm hoping he doesn't go dark and he needs some headlights, because he ain't going to have none on the front of that car either. Trent Allen and Brandon Gott just swap places here as well. Well, Pete, 12 minutes to go. It's getting heated throughout this race, and some people are doing it well, some people are not so much, and now all we can hope for is they manage to get to the end.
Yeah, no, I think by the looks of it out the front, I think Nick's still pretty comfortable. He's just got that little element of pace. He's got 0.1 or 0.2 of a second, just over the rest of the field, and Owen Coleman in particular. This is still going to be a really close fight for P2 and P3. So those podium positions are far from settled. And all the way down the field now, we've got cars together, and they're all racing each other. Some are out of position, some are going to have a go. 10 minutes to go. Do you settle for what you got, or do you try and make that extra position? Yeah, what does your crew chief say? Your crew chief says, hey, we're in a good position, we're going to get some good points, settle for what we got, we'll take this to the next season. What does the driver say? No way.
Yeah.
Who's crew chief?
And it looks like...
Sorry, radio broken.
Yeah, it looks like Trent Allen has... There's been a moment here with that Porsche of Justin Davies, and I can't quite pick up where Davies had the incident, but Davies had damage coming into the pits there, and he had a bit of a broken steering, and did he do it here, or was he get caught up in this McClyman incident, and that's possibly caused him problems, because Davies there looks like he's got damage on that car. His car's straight at this point, but it ain't straight further on here for Davies. So I'm not entirely sure what's happened to Justin Davies here as well. As you can see, he's in the pits and has been for a while, and he has damaged his car somewhere along the lines here, and something has happened to Davies. So I'll try and find where that one is there, Pete. But Davies has suffered damage. He's in the pits. Wood and Coleman now literally half a second apart as we're coming into the last 10 minutes.
So there were two cars over the start of that restart lap that speared off the field. One just at the entrance to the Parabolica, right in the grass. It was like well off track, so no need for a safety car. And there was another one as it came through I think it was the turn 10, 11 into the stadium section onto the grass there. They just sort of speared off out, and I sort of caught them on my iRacing, but we didn't catch them on the broadcast. That might have been where the cars have gone off that have got some damage, because that first one that went off pretty hard. And Matt Carrick has just had a little bit of a spin himself, and I don't think he touched the wall, but he might lose a few positions there and just drop down as we get closer to the last few minutes of the race. I think we're about 8 minutes to go or so.
Yeah, he has. He's dropped down quite a lot at the moment. He's all the way down in 18th, and you can guarantee that is a curb in turn 1. And I don't need to go back and have a look at that. Just from where the position of that Porsche was, that's probably where the options, the problem lie. Dean Hunt and Ray Oliver scrapping it out in this race now as well, sitting 6th and 7th, battling away quite nicely. We're coming in to the last 8 minutes. We're gonna duck into it now. It's all about Dawson, it's all about Coleman, and it's all about Wood. One thing we are looking at, keeping an eye on, Burgess is slowly getting this gap down to Koistra. It's now down to the less than a second. Is this Ford gonna be on the 4th place of the order? Well, time will tell, and for Roy Koistra, he's in that very tricky Porsche here, Pete, that has been known to do Porsche things. It's all about now whether or not Burgess can catch up to him, I think, going into this last, well, nearly 7 minutes.
Yeah, but I don't think Burgess has had the race pace. His best is a 38.1. Oh, okay, no, that's quicker than Koistra's best. Koistra's best is the 38.4. So, so Darren does have the ability to eke into it. Yeah, does he have the ability and have enough pace to overtake? As the great Murray Walker always said, it's one thing to catch up, it's another overtake. And with only 0.3 of a difference between their best laps, that's probably not a big enough delta to make an overtake. The other guys in the lead, their bests are in the 37. So, I think Rui Costa, I don't necessarily think he has to watch his rear vision mirror as much as he might think. Darren might get close to him, but I'm not sure he's going to have enough to make a position up.
Well, he's got the gap down. Oh, he's back out to 1.1 here. Hugo Sullivan's just about to send it, or almost try and send it on the inside of Latella. Not quite this time as well. The battles are still commencing up the front end here as well. It's now a three-way battle. The sun is coming down. It's in their driver's eyes. You can see it there as well. It's even in my eyes, and I'm not even in the car there. As the reflection once more shone straight through the window. 22 degrees, 5:30 in the evening in Germany, and we have gone back in time. It's October 22nd, 2023. So there we go. That is currently the track situation. It's starting to cool down. The sun is starting to set. It's not only setting in Germany, it's setting on the racetrack. It's settling over this race as we're coming into the last 6 minutes. Coleman, Wood and Dawson, they've got to decide where they're gonna go. Provençali also now is caught back up to Hanlon. He's going to take an off track there as well, because that was an off track. I'm not being lied. None of the tyres were on the black stuff there, Mr. Ricky, sir. So let's try and keep it on that. Why he's having to go at Hanlon? This is for 7th and 8th, 5th and 6th in class. So this is a class battle here from Provençali and Hanlon. If Hanlon does not go on the defensive very shortly, if Provençali, you leave a door, he's going to definitely come in and burgle your house, mate. I can tell you that much. He'll have that position away from you. While he's there, he'll take your shoes, your rig, and everything else. You can't leave the door open with Ricky Provençali right up behind you, because you will end up losing that position. And it's looking like Coleman is under, well, he is under there as well. He's got his fighting spirit on now, chasing down Nick Wood, that lion that is Owen Coleman. He's got the gazelle of Wood, and Wood is running, and Coleman's there trying to catch him up. And just for good health, he's got Alan Dawson tucked up right behind him as well. This is going to be an epic 5 minutes here, Pete, as well. So let's see how this one pans out at the front of this order.
I will. Now, you've just been given a new nickname, mate. You've now called the Mad Englishman. And what I want to do, I just want to give you a 60-second break. And what I'm going to do is I just want to shout out to those that have made some heaps of positions. So Darren Burgess in P5 has made 15 positions this race. Ricky Provenzali in P8, as we know, always starts from there, 28 positions. Now, just moved up into P7. We've got Jesse McManaman. Now, we haven't talked about Jesse all night. Jesse was in the first series. He was a big name in the first series. Jesse McManaman has made 16 positions, currently sitting into P10. And the last, I'll call out Luke Mackay, P15. He's made 14 positions. So they're our big movers for the race. Mate, that is a quick 60 seconds for you to take a breath, Mad Englishman. Over to you.
Yeah, I just see that YouTube chat, Mad Englishman. Thank you very much for that one. Here, as I'm on my Sunday morning at 11 o'clock there. So thank you very much for that as well. I'm sure that might stick if it doesn't here as well. But let's see how these three cars go. We're going to have about on a 1:38.37. We're going to have about another 2 laps. It might just touch the last lap. After this one, it's going to be very, very close. Keep an eye on this racing. It's going to hot up as it's coming down. It's hotting up further down as well. 7th, 8th and 9th are not leaving each other alone. Neither is Latella, Sutherland and Allen. This is in 11th, 12th and 13th place as well. So there's still positions unsettled. One of the positions that look like it has been done now is Burgess has dropped back from Koistra. He's not been able to make that difference, and Koistra's now got a 2-second lead as well. There is an incident. Oh my dearie me, what has gone on down here? As there's been a lot of cars apparently involved with Greg Carrick Jepson. Oh, he's gone round, hasn't he?
Oh, that's untidy. It's just a little bit of a touch of spin. 2 other cars slowed down. They're all involved.
There's a Lambo there as well. Driving?
Yeah, I think the Lambos had a little bit of a go, maybe a bit of a touch, and then there's certainly a second touch there that spun the right car. I think that's Matty Carrick in the right car, but yeah, a second touch there. That's a little bit untidy. Yeah, look, this close to the race, you don't want to be losing this many positions this close to the race. It frustrates all of the work you've done. But let's go. We've got a minute 25 or so left in this race, just under 2 minutes, which means we should have probably 2 more laps, maybe 3 more laps to go. 2 more before we see Bernie, I think.
Ooh, okay. Well, we'll keep an eye as they're going to come over the line. It's going to be 1:59 at least. It should technically be the final lap this time around if my maths and past experiences of the wonderful timer on iRacing does tell you when you get near to the end. We'll go on board with Nick Wood these last couple of corners. Are we going to see the strongest right hand in iRacing waving frantically this time around? Look at the gantry on the right. There he is. He's waving, and he will still be waving right the way through until these young gentlemen come back through once more. But now the final lap has opened up, and now this is it here as well. It's all about what is Coleman going to do on the final lap of the race. He's not going to make that move into 2. Get 2 right, nail it right as well. He's got to go down the Spitzker hairpin, and he's got to make sure he's in there within. He comes into the hairpin at the moment, because if he isn't, it's going to be game over for Coleman. Now he's closing up, and now he's coming in. He's inching out the time, 1/10 for the moment. He's under the 10th, we're into the 100s. There goes Coleman now. You've got to do it now. It's not. Oh, where's Wood gone? Oh, there he is. He's come back again. Coleman's on the inside as we're coming now as well into turn 7. Is this going to be able to go through? Coleman's on the inside as well. Nick Wood cannot afford any more disappearing, because it could just go wrong for all 3 of them. Dawson's getting his nose in there. Dawson wants a piece of it as well. Wood's got the chocolate cake. Dawson's hungry. He wants some of it as well, but Coleman's going to get in there first with the fork. Dawson's going to have to come in in with a spoon behind him and take little chunks. Let's see what's going to happen as we're coming around the final few corners now into turn 11. I think that move from Dawson has just jeopardized what's going to happen with Coleman. Coleman is not going to get there. It is going to be Wood. It is going to be Nick Wood here as well. He's going to come over the line. He's going to take that position. He's going to finish it off. The Wood in the BMW has taken this one at Hockenheim with Coleman in second, and Dawson finishes in third. And a big shout out to Darren Burgess, who puts a Ford in the top 5 with McMiniman coming over. Stunning end.
My God, you've got to take a breath, Mad Englishman, but how good was that? Owen Coleman, and look, he did everything he could. He tried to set it up. He had a go, and he had to have a go if he was going to have a crack at the win. Nick Wood gave him room. They come out of that, and they fought all the way through to the next set of corners, but I think that just as they went through the next set of corners, it just sort of split them up, and then that pretty much settled the race. But my God, how good was that? See, a fight for P1 in the last 5 corners of the race. And yeah, you got to shout out to Darren Burgess. Off-pit strategy, early one with that second safety car, short pit stop at the end. I knew he was going to undercut, but I didn't think he was going to get to P5. I figured he'd get to about P10 from where he was, and he's just made that strategy work. He's come out and those tyres, and he's got that Ford. That's got to be one of the best positions and finishing positions for a Ford so far. So yeah, big shout out to Darren for that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look back for officials, it's probably the best finish for a Ford in the last 18 months, to be honest, in any official. So there we go. Once more here as well. It was a shame that Dawson went for that move at that point, because I think that's kind of unsettled the whole balance of it. And of course, he's in his rights to go for it, and he is in his rights to move, and I understand that and put himself in that position. But I think Dawson's move on that at that specific moment cost Wood that one as well, because Wood was alongside, and then Dawson's come and put his nose in, and Dawson just couldn't, Coleman couldn't quite be able to get it down because Dawson was there. I'm wondering if Dawson wasn't there and waited, whether or not it would have been closer. But at the end of the day, we got what we got, and that was it at the moment there as well. So Greg comes over the line, the last man here to cross the line, so we will be able to bring you up the results very, very shortly. But I think you can all admit that was an absolute barnstorming ending there as well. But let's bring you up the results here. Nick Wood in the BMW, taking that win at Hockenheim for this race. Owen Coleman in second. That 1.1 does not justify how close that last lap was. Dawson there as well, making a move going into turn 8, kind of unsettled a little bit of the balance as well. He finished in third, and Rue Koistra in fourth. Then we've got Darren Burgess in the Ford with fifth, Dean Hunt sixth, and Cameron Edwards in seventh. That is your challenger podiums there as well. So Burgess, Hunt and Edwards, good job. You took the 1, 2, 3. Hanlon in 8th with McMiniman in 9th. Alfonso Latella in 10th. Hugo Sutherland 11th. Trent Allen in 12th. Rickon Provisali, who ended up in 13th, gained 23 places over this race as well. The biggest gainer, if I'm not mistaken, out of the whole field, finishing in 13th. Luke McKay in 14th. Richard Meyer 15th. Brandon Grock in 16th. Adam Jepson 17th. And Alec Kay finished in 18th. Matt Carrick in 19th. Brandon Tucker in 20th. Matthew Gerard 21st. Sean Bonici in 22nd. Matty Keane in the end there as well. Gone fighting in the Ford. Had a little bit of a few incidents throughout the race. Ended down in 23rd. Matt Norris 24th. Simon Honey 25th. And then we got Gretsch is in 26th. He's the last of the runners there as well. Then we've got Ray Oliver, who was 4 laps. Daniel Magri 6 laps. Then the list goes on. Kylie McClyman, O'Loughlin, Dutch, Ruddle, Foster and Lawrence, unfortunately not being able to finish. But I think we can safely say with a finish like that, they have missed out here. And what an absolute barnstorming race. Well, bring on the next one, Pete. That's all I say to that.
JP, oh mate, kudos to you. That was a fabulous call. And that last lap, I think, Cher was right. How's your gaskets, mate? Are they all right? Just make sure you do a check. As you settle down for lunch today, just refresh them all and take a break. But that was an awesome call. No, great race, and really good to see some alternate strategies from the early safety cars. We saw that field mixed up. We called it. I called it as Nick might and have it for the race, and I sort of called one of Coleman, Dawson, or Cloister to put it on him. But look, Nick proved me wrong. After chatting to him and saying I was going to give him a bit of commentator's curse, he's got pole, led the whole way effectively, and won the race. So that is just a magnificent bloody double for Nick, and reinforces his standing at the top of the championship. So good on him. Owen Coleman coming second tonight. That will put him up a little bit closer to Nick in the championship. And I think there's so many points available in each race. So I think 360 or 370 or something available in each race. This championship's not over. Nick could have a shocker in the next one, and Owen, Alan, or somebody else could just pull up and take it. So they've all got to practice hard, they've all got to fight hard for the last race of this series. So I think we're set up well. We just saw an awesome race tonight. It was so exciting. It was just safety cars at the right time, mate.
Yeah, it definitely was, and I think that's the thing. That was the thing. It brought everybody back into it, and it brought everybody together again, and then it all just went off, and it was the end. It was absolutely insane. But don't forget as well, we've got to have a chat with our man in the pit lane, the man who's put more steps in today than anybody else running up and down this pit lane to find out the information. Let's bring Jimmy back into the booth. Jimmy, thank you very much for your job today. Well done to you, sir.
And breaking me in, so to speak, as a commentator. It's the first time, so it's been fun. I just wanted to touch. I was watching the top three for that last probably 5 or 6 laps after that safety car. Nose to tail, not one bit of contact the whole way through. Obviously, the last lap, you're going to go for it when you've got that top step of the podium sitting right there. But bloody hell, it was. I don't know how they do it. You've seen me drive. Obviously, I can't. That's why I don't. I'm never up that end of the field. But kudos to all three of them. That was sensational.
Yeah, do we think the Dawson move at turn 8, though? Do we think that unsettled Coleman to go into Wood, of course?
It definitely did, but that being said, like I said, I was watching a few laps before. Owen was right up his date, so to speak, into the hairpin, up Nick, and then he'd be able to get the run there, and then that at Mercedes there, that was probably the closest spot that he was getting to Nick, and Nick sort of just seemed to have the wood, pardon the pun, on him through the back section.
Yeah,
at the end of the lap. So there was a little bit of a concertina there. Like Owen, I think, sort of had him more towards up to the hairpin and just out of that, and then Nick was sort of a bit on top of Owen for the back half of the lap. So all in all, mate, cracking racing, mate.
Yeah. I'm going to say, JP, absolute fair move by Dawson. Nobody wants to sit in P3 and say, I'm just going to take through P3. He had a look in at P2, regardless of the fact that how that impacted the race between P1 and 2. Absolutely fair call, a good move in P3 if I was there. And I'm normally like Jimmy, but if I was there, I would have had a crack too. No, I should never ever call that out as a bad move, even though it might have upset Owen's ability to challenge Nick through to the end. Because somebody in P2, he wants to be in P3, he wants to be in P2 or P1 as well. So absolutely fair move, and it was a great race. Well done to all of them.
Yeah, to be fair as well, I reckon Dawson maybe did back it out a little bit after that. He probably didn't want to get the position on Owen that way. That's just sort of how it appeared to me, but I could well be wrong, and that's for you boys to find out when you have a yarn with them.
Well, I'm waiting for them to jump in, or do I need to go and get them here, Jim? I thought they were jumping down, but...
Let me chase them down, mate. I'll see what I can do.
All right, but no worries. Well, we'll sit here for a minute or so and see if we can get some people in for a little bit of a chipwag. Maybe they're not quite sure where they need to go or what the situation is or where they should be, but we'll see if we can have a chat with the 3 people on the podium, and I believe we have got one of them sitting there waiting as well, which I don't know, Pete. Can you move that individual? Because I can't seem to pull him up.
Have a look.
There.
Let's have a look. Hey, Alan Dawson, P3 tonight. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Well done.
Hey, tell us about the last lap.
Kind of seen the gap and just, well, got to send it. At least have a good go, pretty much. But it didn't work out. I got the sausage curb on the inside and I almost felt like I was going to rotate, so I had to look back out of it.
We were calling it out through the race, and you know, one of the things we thought was, you know, maybe it impacted the race between P1 and P2 at the end there, but you know, fair move. You've got to have a go, right? You can't come P3 if P2's on the cards.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, you had a bit of an incident mid-race and had to fight back.
I had a little blue flag lap driver in front of me. He moved to the left, and I thought, okay, there's a hole. I'm going for it. And then, as it was a sweeping right, he come over, and that was already too late. I was already into his rear. Yeah, unfortunately, I drive through.
Yeah, and you know, thankfully your second pit stop, you're able to save a bit of fuel, and you seem like you come out in front of Owen and Rue Cloister out of that pit stop. So the drive-through sort of might have cost you big, but didn't cost you a lot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I was comfortably in the second before the safety car, and then yeah, unfortunately the drive-through, and that dropped me back to, I think it was 5th, and
awesome.
Third.
Anyway, mate, congratulations on P3 tonight. You got any shout-outs you'd like to let everyone know?
Oh, just a big shout-out to Team Riot, bunch of crazy boys that keep me going. Game Gear Direct, Bliss Homes, build walls with homes in them, and yeah, that's about it, mate.
Awesome, good on you, mate, and congratulations on your P3 tonight, and have a good night.
Thank you, mate.
Cheers.
Well, there you go, guys. That was Alan Dawson, P3 there. I don't think we're going to have anybody else. They were moved, and now they've jumped off, and now none of them are in the thing. So I think final words from you.
I got them all, mate.
You got them all?
I know, I got them all. Yep, no, I got them all. Owen,
where are they? Yeah, go for it. Where are they?
Over to you. Over to you.
Good evening, Mr. Coleman. The second in the race there. Just couldn't quite get Nick Wood at the end. Welcome in, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, good. Hope that was good for you guys to watch.
Yeah, it definitely was there, mate. It definitely was. I think I just nearly blew a blood vessel. But come on, how was the race overall for you? Because you weren't quite up there, and then you started making your way through, going, you know, you gained 5 places, qualified in 7th, put yourself on a bit of a mission, and now you've gone and taken that 2nd place. Was it tough to get the car up there?
The car sort of come together in the race. Like coming into the round, I didn't have the most confidence around this track, and when I saw what sort of times they were doing in qualifying, I was like, oh, this is going to be a sort of a survive, and yeah, managed to make a few spots at the start, and yeah, sort of just ducked in behind Nick for the majority of the first stint, because I was just like, I bet you he's going to be saving like he was last time, so I was just sort of following around, and then yeah, just caught one of the ripple strips and sort of spun me off.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, mate, Nick killed you on fuel saving tonight, but
yeah,
at the start of the race, you seemed to lose a lot of positions. Was that just nerves, just getting settled, or what?
No, I obviously I spun when I was behind Nick, and then I sort of had another moment with Ray, I think it was, that sort of spun me off again. But I think overall, after the start, I made a few spots and then sort of just tried to get into a rhythm. So I was just trying to fuel save for most of it, and then yeah, sort of saw a few people in front sort of start pitting, and I'm just like, oh, I might actually be in for a half decent result. And then that last safety car come out, and I was like, yay! Like I was saying to Jimmy, even though I didn't come second, it felt like a win for me, because I was not expecting to be on the podium this round.
Yeah, well, stunning job from you there as well, and it was very close. I did really think you were going to get it. Do you think Dawson trying to make the move down into 8 just kind of unsettled the balance a little bit? Could you have got Nick over the last few corners?
Not after that. That's why I sort of gave Nick the old flash. I was like, nah, you've got it, mate. Like I wasn't close enough to him. So, but I can't blame Alan for going for a move.
No, I fully agree. You would have done, to be fair, there, Owen, as well. But well done on your second place. Exactly. You know what I mean? So, well done on your second place there, bud. Anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, obviously Motorsport Hauler, Bliss Homes, and pretty much all the other sponsors at Riot. And special shout out for Grindtech Flooring and Colourful Learning with Foz and Co.
Some stuff. Well, there you go, guys. That was Owen Coleman. Well done, mate. Take care and look forward to having a chat with you at the next one.
Sounds good. See you then.
See you later, mate. Now we're going to hopefully have a chat with Nick Wood. Here he is, the man who took pole position. He led from green. He lost it in the pit stops. He got it back straight after, and he took the car right the way to the end under pressure. But this cool, calm Iceman that is Nick Wood took it over the line and led from start to finish. Nick, welcome into the booth there, sir. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. It's great to get the win.
Definitely was.
Hey, Nick, I got to ask you. We thought I'd put the commentator's curse on you before the race just by jumping in the chat. But mate, you took it all out, the whole lot.
Yeah, well, I was fairly lucky. I think Owen had a spin early on in the first stint, and then Alan also had a drive-through, so I think I got lucky.
You also seemed to fuel save and come out. Your pit stops were a couple of seconds shorter than both Owen, Alan, and Roo, and that was both of the pit stops. So, were you fuel saving, or was that just driving technique? You think?
A bit of both. I was fuel saving quite hard because my calculations at the beginning of the night were for 72 laps, which would have been 24 lap stints, I think, which was pushing the fuel quite hard. So and I also drive the BMW a bit like that anyway. Come off the throttle before I need to brake and help saves the tyres.
Maybe I'm learning some lessons here, JP.
Maybe, mate, maybe. You know what I mean? Pick it up for yourself. I don't drive anymore, mate, so you're ahead of me on there. You know what I mean? Nick, overall, though, that kind of gives you a bit of a cements your place in the championship. You're going to be up the front. Do you think you can take it in the take the championship in the next round?
I certainly hope so. It's been a lot of hard work, and I've had my teammates helping me prepare, and they unfortunately weren't able to be at any of the races this season, but it's been fun and had a lot of help.
Okay, mate, well, an absolutely stunning job from you there as well. Nick, thank you so much for jumping in. Is there anyone you want to shout out before I let you go?
All the guys that put it on, Premier Endurance League and Ricky and Jimmy, they do such a great job. Game Gear Direct, the sponsors, and do fantastic work for us, and I'm just my personal sponsors for the team. Dre, Digital Race Engineering. It's basically a replacement for Crew Chief. It's a pretty good service, and we enjoy that. And Player One Some Gear and Ozfelder Warehouse. All the people I'd like to thank, and to everyone that's racing, really. It makes it more enjoyable when there's people to race.
Yeah, absolutely, fully agree. Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Well done on your victory there, sir. We'll see you next time out at Suzuka.
Thank you very much, guys.
Take care. Well,
there we go, mate.
Yeah, there you go. Nick always reminds me of somebody who's very humble, very, I would have, if I'd have done an interview after winning a race, I would have been like, yeah, woo, you know what I mean? But he just seems very humble, relaxed, yeah, I won, it was hard. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I drove around the track, I saved some fuel, I lifted before I braked, it's, I won.
Yeah, exactly.
The others spun and had drive-throughs, it was, oh, cool. Yeah, very, very composed. But no, look, he's earned it. He's obviously got some team members there that are helping him set the car up right. He's doing the practice he needs to do to get those times. I mean, they're superstar times that they're driving. So, bring it on. And he's got, a little under a month to the 3rd of December until we get to Suzuka to do it all again and see if he can take away the silverware.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, that is just about bringing this absolute epic race to the end here as well. Thank you so much to everybody that's joined us in YouTube chat. It's been a pleasure having you along, keeping us on our toes here as well. But I think that is it from myself. I've been James Parfitt alongside Pete Baxter. And as always, take care. Have a great week. And you never know, we might see you on a track sometime. Good night.